Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Swimmer Sync CXVI, aka 116th. It is I, Mad Gamer the Second, and I am joined by the wonderful Keon tonight. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing well. It's another swimmer sync, and I'm really excited to see all the teams participate in another weekly tournament. I believe this is one of the last July ones here. So let's see who takes home at least the July this last July SOS strong.
Yes, this is our last one for the July, and then we get a week off to train up for the next month. And our first matchup of the night is the Grillers versus the Archive. A excellent matchup. You know, we have the Grillers, long-standing team, household name, and then Archive. It seems to be a bit of a pickup with some well-known players.
Yeah, I recognize a handful of members on both sides, especially on the Griller side. You got Devi and Nito running off this group along with Hidorisu as well. And then on the Archive, you some very familiar faces, Ali, Dio, and Nox especially. So this could be a very fun first match we got coming up here, I'm at, and could be really curious to see how both these teams dish out in this first round.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I do know that the Grillers has seen a bit of a lineup change. They're inducting some new members this week, so I'm curious to see what they bring to the table. I know Devi herself has been experimenting with some new weapons, so it's going to be a fun time tonight starting off.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and who knows really what the Grillers and especially the Archives, both teams, what they wanted to dish out weapon-wise across the board, especially as you mentioned. Maybe if Devi shows up with the different weapons she has in mind, this could be very fun for the Grillers. Now, I want to also note here with the Archive, obviously, you guys mentioned a bit of a pickup team, say the least though, but this team could surprise us all, maybe in this banger of a first match, or you could be seeing. Hopefully, we can see this be a very competitive set across the board as we're about to queue up for the first one here, Manta Maria Tower Control. I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to say, Tower Control Manta is one of my personal favorite map mode combinations. Just Manta in general is one of my favorites. I know it's fantastic for the Splatlings, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Splatlings in action from Devi, who is well known for her Hydra, but also from the Archive. I know Ballpoint, once again, has been quite popular in the meta nowadays with that Inkjet buff, so would not be surprised if we saw some Ballpoint action on this map mode.
I mean, Ballpoint is almost the weapon of choice, really, pretty much across the board. As you mentioned, a very popular weapon, especially in this meta, notably this season here as well. So, especially if you can take full advantage of the Splatling range, especially Ballpoint Splatling entering into this particular map here in Manta Maria Tower Control, this could be good news. Now, the Tower Control pathing can be a little bit tricky past the first checkpoint as well. So that's where we could be seeing a lot of fights ensuing, but hopefully both teams know how to handle this tower pathing across the board. And I personally would like to see a lot of Ballpoint here. I think that would be the choice in question.
Oh, for sure. Now, in addition to Splatlings, I think Slosher, we saw the rise and fall of the Slosher machine and then the rise of the vanilla Slosher, but Sloshers in general are pretty handy on this map because with tower control, you really want to be able to push up and take key portions of the map. You got that left side on the defense, and then the enemy bunker. Like, those are some key positions you want for those first couple of checkpoints. So having the ledge advantage with a Slosher of any sort can really bring an advantage to you for your team. But we see several other weapons. The usual splash, crab on top, pseudo backline can also be quite handy.
I mean, as you mentioned, a lot of very good choices. Really, both these teams can dish out. I do want to highlight though, as you mentioned, Slosher Machine starting to fall its way a little bit out of this season, especially with all the nerfs the Slosher Machine had before the season started. But now we have the rise, as you mentioned, the vanilla Slosher with that Splat Bomb and that Tri-Strike kit that it has. You can take full advantage of the Splat Bomb and the Tri-Strike, try to claim some ground that you can take over in Manta Maria, especially mentioned the bunker as well. Now, especially when you factor all this together, though, you could be seeing really a mixture of different weapons. I wouldn't be surprised if there would be no crab tank though, given how this terrain is set up. But at the same time, though, it's not a bad pick if you can take control of high ground here in Manta Maria.
Oh, absolutely. And I see, like, tower control maybe not the best mode for crab, but we have to see. Like, I am loving the new meta right now. Like, we just see a lot more variety nowadays, a lot more experimentation coming out. We also have the new classes, the S-Blast and the Paintbrush. I would not be surprised if we saw some of that coming out as well. But it's hard to say. Like, again, so much variety, so much experimentation going on. Can't wait to see what we have in store.
I mean, personally, here, a lot of experimentation is always a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun to watch. You get to see how both teams, how they handle their weapons in their respective compositions here. How does the S-Blast, how does the Paintbrush, some of the new weapons as you mentioned. Blasters could always be a very solid pick, especially tower control there as well. But as you mentioned, the beauty of this, especially with what we're about to lead into here, is both these teams could always dish out something crazy, something new, something fresh, or they could go back to what works out really well for them. Try to see if they can set the tone for this first set. As we're about to queue right into this one, we got on the left hand, on the opposite side, that will be the Griller. On the other side will be the Archive. A little bit of a slow loading phase. I hope this is not a sign of things to come here, as it looks like we're about to go in right now. It looks like the Splatling, as you mentioned, is in play, but it is not the ballpoint. In fact, there is no ballpoint in play here, Imad.
Indeed, we do see some Splatlings with a heavy on the side of Grillers, Nautilus on the side of Archive, but you were right, there is no ballpoints in action, which is quite surprising, but I think even more surprising, that Dynamo coming out from the Grillers, like, you just don't see the Dynamo that often. I know that the Juice, the Tactical has been making a rise because of the buff that it also received, so it is quite strong, but usually Dynamo is not the pick you'd have for it.
Yeah, I expected a very different cooler weapon altogether, because you would be seeing like Trinovos. That's a very popular pick. Maybe they wanted to just stick with Dynamo and see what ends up happening here. 3 members, by the way, down right out of the gate for the Grillers. 2 down on the Archive, but it looks like, oh my goodness, that's a double coming out of the Griller side, I believe, and that will be this push starting along. Of course, getting the double at the end of that one, but it looks like 2 members have dropped right away from the Grillers. Now 3, so this push falls, and going back to mid will be the Archive's defense kicking in. And as you mentioned, I expected very different weapons for the cooler. Dynamo, I could see this working though with the way this map is shaped up.
Indeed, like I was talking about the ledge advantage with the Slosher. Dynamo has some of those same ledge advantages, which is a little bit more range on the high ground, so that could be the thought process behind it. Right now, we see Archive just going through that second checkpoint, and we're talking about getting those key positions. Like, we see Dio just watching that left side. They're trying to get something at it. We do see the strike coming out, but they're just making sure they don't get near the tower, and that's what you want to do going through these first couple of checkpoints. And also that knot just on the bunker watching from above, like, that is a fantastic position to have.
Yeah, but 3 members already quickly dropping. This will be a delayed wipe, and as you mentioned, just great positioning all around. I did like how the Grills approached this one, but the Archive, they just started to clean house at the end of this one. And we start off this first game of the set, a little bit of back and forth from the beginning, but the Archive wrestled control the entire way, and map 1 goes to the Archive. Well done for the Archive.
Yeah, so we saw the clutch like finish off with from the Splash player be able to get that final one off the Archive, but then like Archive just came back so fast, like he stopped the Guerrillas push before it could really get started, and then they just like got the momentum going in the opposite direction that the Guerrillas were able to stop them. You know, we saw the double splash, the Neo and the Vanilla with the Crab and the Ink Strike. Neo Splash making a pretty big impact just because the Ink Strike is so good on tower, but even that wasn't able to really get any splash or just stop the push from going, just because of how well that the Archive was able to push up and just take control of the Griller space.
I will credit, as you mentioned, the triple ink strike that came out from the Griller side, I believe from the Neo Splash. It was actually placed in pretty well that it dispersed the rest of the Archive, but the Archive positioned themselves in such a way where, as you mentioned, they just pushed far up ahead, and triple ink strike really didn't mean a whole lot. And then it just pretty much was all Archive the rest of the way for that team, and it was just a great start overall. And as mentioned, momentum just kind of shifted on the Archive's favor, so they take home this first map, and now we get to see Undertow Spillway Rainmaker for this second map here. I would like to see if the Grillers can adjust a little bit now that they kind of see how the Archive played, but what do you expect to see with this map combination?
I mean, Rainmaker is a fantastic mode to be playing a cooler weapon, and we do see like the end zap a popular choice for the cooler, and certainly one I was expecting, but I would not be surprised if someone decided to bring out for this map mode. However, just from the way that the Archive was playing, like if they have that Tetra player, like they are already super aggressive with their comp style. Like anytime you see a Tetra duel, it's like you know that they're going to be coming straight at you for most of the match. So I don't know, like, do they stick with the Dynamo pick, or do they possibly swap to an NZAP if they want to stick with that cooler?
What we're about to see right here, and I do think the cooler is the play. Very big special, especially in this meta. What is going on? I think we're about to have the same comments here. I'm gonna quickly footnote this real quick on the other side. Hanabi, by the way, from the archive with the Japanese characters, dishing out the Nautilus as well, and deals back on the Splatoon. But I think we're about to highlight here. Griller's dishing out double blobbing.
I can see the use of it. Like, one, it is Rainmaker, is just the amount of paint and range that the blob can have, especially when it comes to like shredding that shield. But Undertow Spillway in particular, like, you see that ridge down the middle. It creates such a unique map formation. It's just like having the double blob is able to utilize just the unique terrain so well and just get some picks that you normally weren't expecting, especially with the ricochet.
Oh, absolutely, and the archive, as we're about to see right now, off to a very quick start once again, and they pretty much played that first push really well, actually trying to find all the picks onto the Grillers. This was pretty much a big range advantage for the Grillers, at least on paper with this composition, and the archive went full aggressive and found the members that they needed in order to get this push going, and the Griller really loses that first checkpoint, and now the Blobbers are trying to build some space and try to make sure that the archive has no position to work with. They pick up this Rainmaker IMAD, and this Rainmaker is being fired, but it's 3 members down, but the Rainmaker drops as well. At least it was clutch enough for the archive to not get a push going, but so far it's a good defensive hold, but the trend I'm seeing here is that the archive continues to take out multiple members from Grillers.
I find it funny with the archive, like, they have the double dually comp, both of them quite aggressive with their style. So basically that Wiper is kind of in a supportive position, like getting their main painter, getting out the missiles and the beacons. It's like normally you see the Wiper on the front line, but having that Tetra and that Splat dually is like he's kind of in a mid position here with the Nautilus kind of bringing up the rear. So it's a very interesting combination they have going here. But with the that early push there, they got so much ground. Not unbeatable, mind you, but they're certainly going to give Grillers a quite a bit to go before to take that lead back, and they are already 2 down.
You bring up a phenomenal point with the Wiper too, Imad, because this Wiper is now having to play a little bit more from midline, and especially with the fact that this is a Wiper deco that has beacons and Tenna missiles as well, as we do see the crab tank from trying to fire away, as does get one. That is the Wiper deco going down. So again the beacons and the Tenna missiles going down here shortly. Ali trying to fire right in with the reach slider taking out Force, and it's pretty much just a duel pretty much across the board, but the Grillers just can't seem to gain any ground, at least at this point, Imad. So at least Grillers, I'll give them this. They got the Rainmaker out of there. They put it in a position where, okay, now they have some chances to contest. But again, Archive's just playing super aggressive and just finding those members at the right places.
I think it's really going to come down to some of these 1v1s. Like, we have the dual Slayers on both sides just trying to be the point of the spear. But I'd say, like, on the Griller side, like, they're having the double blob, like, they really want to go for those kind of assists. Like, when they see their shot or their splash push up to make an attack, like, you want the blob just to be up behind them, throwing some bubbles out to try to chip some damage off. But just the amount of aggression the Archive is throwing at them so far, like, they haven't really been able to get a good position so far. The Archive already back in this corner right here trying to get some more points on the board, and the Grillers have been unable to stop the Rainmaker carry yet.
Yeah, but the Blobbers, they know where that Rainmaker is, so they're trying to take full advantage of the terrain, trying to bounce the Blobbers off the wall, but one of them does go down. Hanabi going down into the corner, so at least the Grillers, they hold on the fence. Nautilus going down as well, and now the Griller, at least they hold well at this point, but the Rainmaker's in a position where the Archive can try to re-obtain it back. Echo's walking backwards towards that pedestal, and all they gotta do is paint it down and slam it home, and that's what they did. Echo takes the Rainmaker home, Imad, and it's a 100-0 victory. Archive taking game 2.
I like the idea that they were going for with that double blob there, but the downside of having a comp like that is, like, you put a lot of pressure on your 2 frontline shooters to really win their engagement, because, like, the blob alone can't really do a whole lot against a hyper-aggressive Tetra or Splat dually. So it's like when they get up in your face, like, unless you're super precise with your shots, it's like we saw the blob just arch right over the Rainmaker carrier as they were going for that pedestal, and just like there wasn't a whole lot they could do when their shooters were down. So, like, again, it was very a map mode specific comp, I think, but nonetheless, like, just against the aggression that the Archive brought, it just wasn't quite what they were looking for, I think.
I think think you're right in a lot of cases too, because now your two line weapons, you have the splash and the T Tech, both with incredible specials, but on the other but in the same vein, your two blob wallers, all they have they have to stay far back and try to just poke from distance, and with a very aggressive comp that can find openings, we saw Dio with those dualies going super deep into their territory and able to take out like a bunch of members there as well. So the archive was still finding those openings despite the two blob lobbers trying to pressure them out. So I mean, at the end of the day, like the archives, I mean, their aggression just paid off in spades, and the grillers, they tried with a very map specific composition, excuse me, and it just didn't quite pan out. So that's the second map going on there, and now the grillers are trying to see if they can make this a 2-1 set here in Museum Delfonsino Clan Blitz. And I think the grillers, they need to go back to the drawing board and see if they can find something that could work, especially with this map combination.
Absolutely, like just Clan Blitz in general tends to favor the more aggressive playstyle. Like you have to be able to initiate a lot more pushes if you want to be successful with your point values. Like if you're sitting on your clans for too long, it's like the other team will just have their specials online and be able to take advantage of that. So I think you're right. Guerrillas do need to find something that is able to work against the aggression that the archive is bringing, especially when they have that Tetras. Just the Tetras will go in and wreak so much havoc if they're not careful. But I feel like we could see the return of maybe that Dynamo because of the amount of open space, and just the Tacticooler could certainly be pretty strong here on the Museum.
I think Dynamo would not be a bad choice, especially as you mentioned with how Museum Delfonsino shapes up. But as we've reiterated to before, I think the Grillers just need to solve the riddle of the two dualies that are just going to be playing very aggressive from the archive standpoint. The archive, they're just going in with those two dualies, and then they have all the backup that they need in order to keep pushing up here. It looks like there is the Dynamo. We do see the Splatling, we do see the Blob Blobber here, and it's going to be effectively the same comp from the archive. One thing to quickly note, though, I believe this is the heavy deco that Devi's dishing out.
Indeed, you're going to be seeing the punches that are cracking on that heavy there, and honestly an excellent choice for Clan Blitz. Like you can just spot out so many of the Sharkers with that point sensor, and the Kraken can get some pretty cheeky jumps in. But already we're seeing the dualies go down, and with all of the Grillers members up, so like they're pressuring the Archive's plat already, getting control of that ramp there. All they need is really just for the rest of the clamps to spawn so they can have some points to get going. The Rain is going to be out there already. The Tetras and the Nautilus down. They are in a prime position to get a push going if they have that power clam.
Yeah, right now they got to get that power clam spawned in. There's 7 clams on the blob, and that's what they got. That's what they got. Hirorisu just threw that power clam to break open that barrier right away. And Ali at least trying to stay alive with those Dark Tetras there. They bring it down to 74 points remaining, and it looks like it's just a duel between both teams. But delayed triple there, and Debbie's just going to be the one that's snuck from behind, but they don't have any plans. But this sets up a few jumps here, and the Kraken's just trying to wreak havoc close to their base. This is going to give Grillers time to get some more clams farmed if they can.
Absolutely, like they weren't able to get a splat off of that Kraken, but just the amount of distraction they had kept the Archive from being able to get the clams and start to push their own. We already see the Nautilus and the Viper down once again, with Ali having to jump back to stay alive, and they are going to be finally taken down. But the Grillers just have so much presence right now. The amount of mount control and the pressure they're putting on the Archive, they're already on their second power clam ready to get a push going.
Yeah, they got that second power clam, and that is going to be Hirorisu. Oh no, dropping the power clam, but Debbie's going to be there for some support, so Griller's able to at least recover that one. We also see the Viper Deco and Ali going down, and Dio goes down as well. 3 members down for the Archive, and right now the rest of the members are kind of just trying to retreat back there as well, but it looks like it's just the power clam. They're still playing this one very patiently with 74 points right there. I think they're just trying to get as much control of that area as much as they can. Debbie's going to be the one with the Kraken trying to push right up ahead. This is going to be a squid jump in. Now they're trying to cash in on this one. 67 points remaining, and the Dynamo finds 2. This push should keep going here, Imad.
That Dynamo is doing so much work right now. Like, as I said, the amount of open map we have here, and just the ledge camping potential once again, just like if they can see those Tetras or the dualies coming, they just completely outrange them and can smack them back to their spawn in an instant. But you see here Devi just in a prime position to get some more clans, but does get taken down by Dio. So with 2 members of the Grillers down, that push is essentially gone, and this could be the Archive's chance to start pushing back in if they're able to get enough clans for a push.
They gotta get enough clams for sure, and again, there's still a lot of time. Like 2:15 left on the clock. That's still plenty of time for the Archive to fight back. Like only 52 points remain is not that much of a lead. And look at this, they got 2 power clams going. If the Archive can find a crucial team fight win here, this could be a big push coming in here shortly. But they gotta get the setup that they need. Looks like the rest of the Grillers, they recognize that, and they're just trying to paint as much as they can over it. All that the Grillers need to do, they just gotta find the peg. Dio has an opening, by the way. And it looks like Dio's actually trying to retreat a little bit backwards. They're just trying, right now the Archives are just trying to find any painting advantage that they can. It's just turning to a quick stalemate, one down on both sides.
The key with the aggressive comp that the Archives run is that they really need to get that aggressive push early, and then they can just basically hold control of the rest of the game. But because the Grillers, those are the ones that get the points first, with the Blob, the Dynamo, and the Splatling, they can just play hard defense, do a lot of chip damage, and just like get pick after pick, and not allow the Archive to really set up. Like both of the duelists, like, they just can't they're completely outranged by most of the weapons of the Grillers are throwing at them, and so just with the limited access to the basket, they just got to camp that one area, throw some rain out, maybe a Krakener and whatnot, and then they just set up for their own push.
And right now, Ali's just trying to build the space that the Archive needs in order to get this one going. Debbie with the Kraken there, but 2 members have dropped. Actually, this could be a push coming in here, and it will be. That's 1 power clam in. The second power clam is in here as well. They need 1 more clam for the lead change. Can the Archive find the other? Can find it here? They lose 3. There's that other power clam from base. The pity clam for the earlier push spawns in, and it's a beautiful jump. And Archive swings it back to take the lead with less than a minute to go here. And the Archive just needed to find the opening that they needed to at least get that push going, and they did, and they took full advantage of those power clams.
I talked about being able to just play a hard defense, but the unfortunate thing is with the amount of time that the Archive had left, like they were able to just keep putting that pressure on the Grillers defense for so long. Like finally the Grillers cracked. Like when you see an unstoppable force meet an immovable object, more often than not the unstoppable force will be the one that wins out. But the Grillers have another chance to get a power clam in. They have that pity clam. Devi's going in with the Kraken, but their carrier gets taken down, and Devi is also taken down, so they no longer have that jump. They do have 3 members down. A possible jump is going in. Can they make it in? The Dynamo is able to get a trade off there, but they are running out of time so quickly.
Yeah, they're running out of time here very fast, but they gotta get all those clams in. They gotta get 6 in. More clams that they throw in. This will be the lead change. They actually take out 2 members here from the Archive, but where are the other clams? Where are the other clams? Are they coming in here at all? They run out of time here, Imed. It was just so close, and we saw at the end they tried to throw the clams near the basket, but it just wasn't enough. And Archive, they swing back the lead in the last minute to take this one home 3-0.
Oh man, like the initial take back from the Archive was just phenomenal, but then the Grillers was so close to taking it back again. It's like that really came down just to the clam spawn RNG was against them. Like we saw a lot of clams in their own side of the base, but because their members jumped right to the ones camping on the Archive's ledge, they didn't have enough time to go grab those clams to come back. Like we saw the 1 clam at the end right as the basket was closing.
Yeah, I think Grillers really needed a few more seconds on that clock for that push, really, because as we both may have noticed, the clans were about to be thrown in, hopefully to extend the time, but the time just pretty much ran out on them. I gotta give Archive a lot of credit though. Down 52 points remain to 100 points remain, or 0 points in this case. There was plenty of time left on the clock. They just played very patiently the entire during those last 2 minutes. They knew that hey, there is a chance that we can still come back and then take the lead in the last minute. And all they did, they spawned a lot of power clams, and then they just had to find, as you mentioned, just those cracks in the defense of the Grillers, and they just took full advantage of it. And yeah, just great patient play all around from the Archive, especially with that aggressive comp that the Grillers may have found that answer, but that answer just came up short.
Indeed, like they just had that one chance where they had specials and the Grillers did not, so they were able to get that opening that they needed to get. Like we saw 3 power clams go in during that push just to take the lead so strongly. Like it was down to 3-4. It was just enough to keep the Grillers from getting the lead back in their final push.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, all the credits to the Grillers. So they fought very hard across all 3 maps. There as well, and especially the last one where you feel like they were really trying to at least salvage it for a 2-1, but just fell a bit short at the end of it, Imed.
Oh, for sure. But yeah, nonetheless, GG's to both these teams. It was so much fun to watch. And like again, like the unconventional weapons getting picked here, like the double blob didn't quite work out with that second match, but the synergy between the Dynamo and the Blob really worked out in that last one. It's just such a close set. But I think we are going to be going to a short break before our next round. So unless you have anything else to say, Kyon?
Nothing else.
All right, stay tuned, everyone, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to Swimmer Sync CXVI, also known as Swimmer Sync 116. We got round 2 for you guys coming up. It's Dark Masters versus Helios. I'm Kyon, joined by Iamad once again, and I mean with these two teams there between Dark Masters and Helios, this could be a very intriguing matchup all around. I'd be curious to see how both these teams fare in this second round.
Indeed, I recognize the team names, and I think I recognize some of the players as well. Like, I can't picture in my mind what I've seen, how I've seen them play before.
Oh, for sure. I think Dark Masters I definitely seen from a few tournaments in the past. So this could be the group here. I think almost an SOS regular at this point. Leading into this one, and Helios very also a few members I'm recognizing there as well. So again, what we saw from the previous round, things were a little bit slow, but finally ramped its way up to a very competitive set. As always, with each round, I'm gonna be rooting for a very competitive one, as you got Splat Zone's Hagglefish Market coming up.
Oh, absolutely. You know, like, Hagglefish Market is known for two things: Ballpoint Jet and Crab Vanilla Splash. Like, you have your different styles. Like, because of the linear formation of this map and just the nature of Splash Zones, like, you really gotta be able to brute force your way to the zone whenever you're making a push. Crab and Inkjet just do that so well, and just the strength of the main weapons themselves, like the Ballpoint and the Splash, they tend to be a pretty common pick for here, even on the defense as well.
but also turn it the other direction. I seen a ballpoint and splash, always very solid. But as we've seen in the previous round, we've seen some very interesting composition and some experimentation that here as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go completely off the wall, go completely crazy with many different weapon choices throughout. But I do agree with you though here. I mean, splash and ballpoint should almost be an expectation or even a very common pick into the Sailfish market zones, especially with how linear, as you mentioned, that map can be. But I think in a few cases, I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a few weapons with the cooler special. We've alluded to it before, or rather earlier in the cast. The cooler special has been very strong. We've seen NZEBs. We also saw the Dynamo from the previous set. So we could be seeing a variety of different weapons just be dished out here. Again, anything goes, but I think the two weapons you called out should almost be the common picks.
Indeed. Now, like I say, like you really want to brute force your way to the zone, but you still have those two flank routes along either side of the zone, like a little bit lower portion. So that's another like ledge potential that we could see. Maybe a blaster or some sort of slosher come into play as well. Being able to just put pressure from the sides can really draw the attention of the enemy from the zone. So who knows? Like, like after that first set, like I expect anything. Like nothing surprised me at this point.
You should always expect the unexpected. Is always the phrase that you will hear across the board. And I think this is exactly what we should be expecting. Maybe in the second one, I wouldn't also be surprised if we see a lot of safe weapon choices. They don't want to try to take too many risks. They want to just see if they can win this second set with the ones that have worked for them the most. So again, a lot of things can happen here. Sloshers and blasters obviously could be very solid choices. With Hagelfish Market, especially with the ledges in mind. Now, I do want to allude to here with this map set all around. We got Hagelfish Market zones, but then the other maps that we're gonna see later on this set. We could be seeing a lot of different changes, or they might want to try to stick to the same. We saw from the previous set, one team opted to keep changing things around until they found something that worked for that map combination. Other teams would like to stay to the same. So what do you think that teams would probably stick to their same weapon comps across all three of the maps here?
That's a tough one. I feel like with these particular maps, certainly the first two, I definitely could see them sticking with the same comp. Like there's a lot of comps that just work well for all three of these map modes. So yeah, I don't see them change it up too much in between the matches. But like I don't remember too much about these two teams, but like my gut instinct's telling me we're not going to be seeing a backline for either team. Like something in the back of my mind makes me think that these are very frontline heavy teams that we're going to be seeing here.
I mean, I personally am a huge fan of teams being full aggressive, especially as a frontline player that plays a lot of Splatoon here. I mean, being full aggressive, I think if you're rewarded with that aggression by taking out a bunch of members on the other side, it's good. It will work wonders, and I think some teams, and I think as mentioned, maybe both teams will be playing very frontline heavy weapons here. We could be seeing. I'm also throwing out some weapons that we could possibly be seeing here. Trying to some Tri Sloshers out there, trying to vote as well. Maybe even the vanilla Tri with the Inkjet in mind, if it supports the theory of, hey, maybe both these teams just want to play super aggressive. And I think with the first map being Hagelfish Market Zones, I feel like it could lend itself well to aggression, but at the same time also lends itself well to just a lot of range.
Indeed. Now, talking about aggression, like we saw the Tetra Julies in action the last match. Like again, I feel like Hagelfish Market could be a good pick for the Tetra Julies. Like it was just the Reef Slider doing a lot of power to be able to paint zone and just move opponents out of the way. Not quite the best for when you're trying to get out afterwards, but still, if you have a teammate to back you up, it can certainly move opponents where you want them to go. But on the other hand, we do have those ink strikes on hand for both the displacement and the zone coverage. I expect either of these to come into play.
I think I do agree with you there as well. Dark Tetras wouldn't be a bad choice whatsoever, especially with the Reef Slider completely displacing the enemy team if they can. I do agree with you at the same time that, hey, if you're gonna use that Reef Slider to help build the space that you need in order to play even more aggressive once you capture that zone, you do want to have that backup in play so that you can be full full on aggressive. If you're going to use it though, however, to completely distract the enemy team, or just make sure that you provide openings for your team and possibly expect yourself to either survive or get splatted and get sent back to start. I think we could see both those playstyles. And in fact, again, assuming that the Dart Tetris or any weapon with Reef Slider comes into mind. At the same time, though, Triple Link Strike's always a safe pick, especially if you throw it at the zone.
No, for sure. Now, something that is maybe a little bit less common and not quite seen as often, but the Rapid Deco with that Inkjet and the Torpedo. I've been playing around with that lately, and it's a lot of fun. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing that in play, possibly. It's typically used more for tower control, less so for zones, just because it'll paint quite well, but still, it has a lot of chip and poking potential with that kit.
I think with that kid, as you mentioned, there, I think that could lend itself really well in a lot of scenarios. But I don't feel like that would be a weapon that we could be seeing in zones for exactly the reasons you described. It's more of a tower control pick. It doesn't paint as well with zones. Now, a few theories that weapon can work though is you put that blaster in such a position where they can play very aggressive while you have teammates that can help support painting wise. I think that's where a few theories could work out, but who knows? We'll get to see as both teams are about to spawn right in. Dark Masters, by the way, on the purple side, yellow side will be Helios, and it looks like, hey, I think I just saw double rollers, I believe, or is that a roller? Regular splat roller, excuse me.
Indeed, we do have that vanilla splat roll, and we do see a Rapid Deco coming out. Now, I was incorrect, though. We do see the Hydra, a backline on the side of Dark Master, so that is a backline on the side there. But using a backline as comp for Helios, using that double midline, actually, with the bucket and Rapid combo, going for more of a aggressive midline comp here.
Yeah, and right now, 3 members have already went down on the side of Dark Masters. So it looks like Sorella is going to be the one that's going to be painting the zone. So once again, I've been proven wrong here. They are going to be using this blaster to paint the zone there. And now they got the zone. Now they're going to play as aggressive as we've alluded to coming up to this one. And 2 members going down for Dark Masters only means now it's just the 2 frontliners that are up. So the 2 frontliners either will have to retreat and wait for their team to spawn. While all that's happening, though, more points going down on the remaining side for Helios.
Indeed, Dark Master is having to use one of their tri-strikes to be able to get out of the picture right now, but the roller is still there, keeping that ledge unsafe for them. Like, they are not able to drop, and the bucket coming in for the cleanup. Just a splash remaining, and they are going to be chased down by the members of Helios. So far, Dark Masters has yet to be able to cap the zone, so Helios is down to 20 points already, and there is no specials online for Dark Masters.
Dark Masters is just staggering at like the worst possible moments. The Sloshers has found multiple members who's being caught staggering into the zone. And here's the stamp, and this and all of these specials being thrown into the zone to stay alive. And it works out successfully, but only for a bit. But it puts Helios into massive penalty points, and it's 3 members down. I just saw on the side of Helios. Dark Masters, now it's their turn to shine.
We saw a nice pincher there from the Viper and the Tri-Strikes, with the Viper coming in to clean up anyone who's defending the zone and get the final tap. And then the 3 down off of Helios allow Dark Masters to be able to push up and take their own space. Now, of course, they do have that Inkjet coming out from Helios trying to push back in, but the Hydra on zone is like, you want to watch out for that. Like, they got a lot of range and power behind them.
Yeah, this is a defensive Buoy Bomb, though. Now the triple ink strikes are being thrown to protect the zone. So Mox, by the way, going down earlier on the Viper there as well. Right now, this point is stuck in neutral. So members of Helios can still find ways to attack the zone and trying to make sure that they can displace Dark Masters as much as they can. Triple ink strikes coming out here as well. And it looks like we're seeing a little bit more of a defensive formation from Dark Masters. As soon as I say that, though, it's 3 members down. Helios goes down as well. The point again has been neutralized. The one lone squid from Helios at least neutralizes the point and buys Helios more time to see if they can counter push.
A 1v1 situation between the roller and the T-Tech, and the T-Tech was able to get the zone cap, and I think also take down the roller as well, so that was a nice win for the Dark Master there to get some more points on the board. But Helios is on their front door with the Bubbler trying to get some paint on the ground, but the Hydra is just doing so good at defending the zone. Like, they are able to get any space, and we are getting into knockout territory here.
This is definitely guaranteed knockout territory here, Imad. 4 members going down at the tail end of this one. And Dark Masters, despite losing 92 points down with Helios' offense, they wrestle it back to get the full 100. And they win this first map.
Yeah, they had a bit of a slow start there, which honestly can be expected having a backline to play, especially that backline being the Hydra. But once they were able to take control of zone, like they had a bit of an upset in the middle where Helios almost brought it back, but they were able to just lock down that mid so well and just keep Helios from really gaining any ground after that.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was true lockdown to the zone the entire way through. And I gotta give credit, by the way, with the special coordination that Dark Masters had. We just saw Mox dishing out the hammer, or the Ultra Stamp for that matter, and the triple Ink Strike. All of the specials thrown into the zone to at least force the penalty points, but Helios needed to basically get the zone back and then try to crawl out of that one. But Dark Masters, they wrestled back and then they got all that momentum all back there as well. Helios was just trying to find all the openings that they could. Despite the strong start, though, as we mentioned, just total lockdown the rest of the way. Dark Masters just then continued to punish Helios the same way that Helios did to them.
That's right, like Helios had the Inkjet, they had the Tri-Strike, but against the Booyah Bomb and double Tri-Strike from Dark Masters, there's just the amount of pressure getting thrown at them was they weren't able to really overcome it, at least not enough to get the zone back. So just like the sheer defense that Dark Masters brought out was quite incredible. But going into Tower Control Malcolmar, this is going to be a very snowball heavy just mode here, especially for Malcolmar. So I could see if Dark Master is able to pull that off again, be able to just secure a lot of space, they could bring this back. But the aggressive opening from Helios could certainly swap this in their favor.
I think we've seen really the story of both sides from the previous map, and we're gonna translate here to the second one. We saw the very fast start from Helios, and I don't think there was anything wrong that Helios did at the end. They just lost all that momentum at the tail end of this one. So now you have tower control. There is obviously no zone in play. Now you gotta push that tower right along, and I don't think there's gonna be any changes unless I'm mistaken with the end zap. There is a change on the other side though. In fact, two weapons are being swapped out. Lucio's on your Vanilla Tri, and Mox is on the Octobrush.
That's right, like going for, both of them are quite short-range aggressive players, but they are going to bring in a Zipcaster and a Inkjet to play here instead of the double Ink Strike that we saw before. Certainly an excellent pick for Malcolmar. You know, even the Ink Strike is quite powerful for tower control. It's not quite as needed when you have a Booyah Bomb in play. Now, of course, Dark Masters with the first control of tower and two members of Helios down, this Hydra is going to be sitting on this checkpoint, and with the strikes coming out, they're going to get an easy first checkpoint.
Yeah, that first checkpoint was pretty clean there from the right side of Dark Masters. Dark Master is going to... There's that Booyah Bomb, excuse me, being thrown here by that Hydra. Phantom and the rest of the crew trying to back them up. And look at the amount of painting, by the way, that Dark Masters is dishing around the second checkpoint. The Inkjet's coming out here as well. Ends up gets punished, so does two members going down, and all of a sudden, Dark Masters just turned it up to 100 at the tail of this one. Roller's trying to save this with the team, and they do. A total wipeout, actually, and Helios defends the tower nicely, but it's 16 points remaining for the push from Dark Masters, but let's see if Helios has a counter push.
Dark Masters is able to take that away so well. Like, they got through two checkpoints, getting down to 16 points. Like, this is going to be quite a comeback Helios is going to have to make. However, with the pressure that they're able to put on, be able to camp those ledges with that bucket and roller combo, if they're able to take space, well, not necessarily can do that if they're 3 down. Right now it's a 1v1 with the Hydra and the Rapid, but it is going to be the Rapid that is going to win out and take space in the middle. So now Helios has their chance to start getting those points on the board.
Yeah, now Helios got past that first checkpoint, and now it's almost the same story as the previous time. Both teams just trying to exchange blow for blow for blow, really with these big pushes, and right now Helios is just taking out multiple members from Dark Masters. Double Squid Jump coming in here from the side of Helios, and Helios is just trying to position themselves to try to get that second checkpoint through. Two members going down the T-Tech. The Octobrush from Mox goes down, but they lose 2 on their end as well. Inkjet from Sorolla trying to take out a member there. They do take out 1, but it's going down as well. Nice counterattack from Mox. And with all that being said and done, this tower's just hovering around the second checkpoint. 3 members down from Helios should mean that this push ends here.
That's right, Helios had a good run, but that is going to be the end of that push, with Dark Masters having the player advantage here, being able to take back their stack. But already Helios is back at it, taking down 2 members of the Dark Masters, and going to be taking control of the tower once again. Now, having that bucket and that rapid on that ledge there is such a good positioning, as Dark Master isn't able to drop with them in position. We do see the Ink Strikes online, but the rapid is the only one remaining. They are going to be able to have to back up here, but they pop the Inkjet for a clutch pick, and they are still in control of tower.
Yeah, and that was a clutch inkjet too. They did find one pick, and now the Hydra goes down as well. It's a delayed triple, by the way, which means that as long as somebody's on the tower, this should be the second checkpoint. The Slosher is trying to save it for the team, though, but Lucio cannot take out the rest of Helios. Now we're gonna see the spawn siren in here, but Helios leaves this tower unattended for a few seconds, which ultimately means Dark Masters returns fire with 3 down, and it's just a Slosher alive. That Slosher is done. More squid jumps coming in here shortly. The staggers are insanely real, but at the end of this one, Helios is wiped out. The tower resets back to mid.
That could have been a huge push for them if they're able to get that bubbler online. We did see the roller pop it, but they were taken down right before it spawned into existence. So just like their push got fizzled out there, we saw all the members of Helios trying to get back on the tower, but Dark Masters just picked them off one by one just with sheer numbers. Now Dark Masters once again has the man advantage and is going to be taking back space with just a few points away from that lead. Helios is going to have to fight for this, but we are down to that last minute.
Lucio with a huge pick, by the way. Lucio just got one, but it did go down at the end of that one, but at least you turn that into 1 down on both sides, and now Dark Masters is going to be the one pushing that tower, as it's just an all-out brawl for both these teams. I gave the sense here that the last team to win a huge team fight might be able to swing this back the other direction, and right now 3 members going down. Dark Masters push is stalled. 40 seconds left to go, We've seen that both these teams are just continuously trading multiple members at a time. What does Helios need to do despite 2 down? What do they need to do to see if they can get the lead back?
Well, first of all, they're going to have to stay alive long enough to get that checkpoint back. Like, they're just getting picked off one by Dark Masters. Every time they try to get to that first checkpoint again, Dark Masters is there ready to defend. We see the Hydra on their plat. We see several of the bucket just going in, wrecking havoc, just stalling out for the time. Like, they're down to 10 seconds, and they have to make a play now if they want to take this back.
They have to start making a play, but Mox is going ham with the Octo Brush. There's the Inkjet. It finds one, but somebody has to touch the tower. Do we get the tower touch? Yes, it is overtime, but it looks like the tower's been wrestled backwards. Somebody on Dark Masters we see there on the tower takes it back, and Dark Masters, I believe, has taken game 2. They're up 2-0 in what has been a bloodbath of a match.
That is the one downside of playing Inkjet on tower control. When you're up using the Inkjet, you can't touch that tower unless you don't want to use the Inkjet. So like when you get down to the last member remaining, all the other teams got to do is touch that tower. Even if you're able to pick them off, sooner or later the time's going to run out and the tower's going to be moving back to mid.
So a few things I'd like to note here, despite the fact that both teams just trained blow for blow for blow. We saw multiple members going on both sides. It was just very entertaining to see both these teams just try to eke each other out. But a few key things I want to note there. Helios' push that made it down to 23 seconds. You saw at a few points that they were off the objective. They were off the tower trying to push their aggression up. But by the time the tower is no longer pushing, the rest of Dark Masters were able to. This buys Dark Masters enough time to respawn. And then we saw the 3 members down on the side of Helios, and then Dark Masters just wrestled back the entire way through. So I gotta give credit to Helios. It was a valiant effort, but definitely a few things that could have been improved upon.
Oh, absolutely. I think you made an excellent point there. Like, Dark Masters did an excellent job of just swapping someone on and off the tower, so they always have someone at least on the tower. You know, when the Ink Strike comes out, everybody's got to bail because you don't want to get taken down, but when the Hydra is just getting pressured or want to use a Breathe Bomb, they have someone on hand ready to take the tower almost immediately. But then as you pointed out, like Helios, they had a good while of where all 4 members were just pushed up and no one was riding the tower, and finally the roller came back, but like with the roller falling back like that, they just lost their momentum they had. Like the roller got picked off right as they used their bubbler, and then the rest of the members just crumbled.
Yeah, it was just, but again, I gotta give credit to Helios. It's valiant effort the entire way through. But yeah, definitely could have seen a lead change. But I think just those crucial moments just kind of turned it into Dark Master's favor, and then they just never looked back. But now we go on to Humpback Pump Track Rainmaker, and here's my personal opinion. I'm not a huge fan of this map because of how condensed this map can get. But with Rainmaker, you got the checkpoints on both ends of the map here. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if we see both. I wouldn't be surprised if there's only a few tweaks on both these teams. As we're about to load right in here, I'm gonna be curious to see what weapons they got.
My biggest thought is, like, are they gonna stick with the Hydra? Like, it's Rainmaker, it's a slow weapon, but it can certainly. Oh no, they're gonna be going with the Deco.
No.
I'd say that's an excellent choice to swap to.
Excellent choice. See, the Hydra isn't really the greatest pick on Rainmaker, as you mentioned. So now you got the heavy deco, and again that Kraken and point sensor as well. With the way this map is set up, I actually really like this heavy deco pick as long as they can take advantage. And certainly Dark Masters is taking full advantage right now. Minute 15 seconds in, and Helios has wiped out the first checkpoints as Dark Masters.
Oh man, getting that heavy on that window right there is certainly a good position for it can just defend with the amount of range it has, especially considering Helios doesn't have a backline, but that's going to be a wipeout off of Dark Masters there. They did get the first checkpoint, but Helios able to clean that up before they ran away with it.
Yeah, another bloodbath of a fight. Seems to be a theme here between both of these teams. Both teams going 3 down, but by the end of this one, he was just trying to pretty much. I think they were just trying to sneak in more. Correction, Dark Master was trying to sneak in a few more points there. Just didn't seem to work out. And all that being said and done, down to 39 points remain, and we're gonna be seeing both these teams. I think gonna be doing it out a bunch here with the way these maps are. With the way this map is shaping out right now, this should also be maybe the first checkpoint if Dark Master doesn't respond to this one, but they're firing this Rainmaker. I think they realize that Dark Masters is up and they're trying to defend this checkpoint with all their might. The Rainmaker picks off one, and it looks like 2 members continue to be down right now for Dark Masters. A delayed triple as well. Where is that checkpoint coming in for Helios? It's now.
An excellent bubbler placement right there that just create a bit of a wall there as we see a bicyclist run by as this battle continues. But when it was really the heavy that they needed to take down in order to take that checkpoint, once the heavy was gone, that just opened up so much room for them to take this corner here, and they're trying to get some more points on the board. But as we see here, the strikes are going to come out, try to stop the push, and the Phantom just going to pick it up and run away with it.
Yeah, Phantom just picks up this Rainmaker. I think just trying to make sure that Helios needs a lot more distance to try to cover for another Rainmaker push. Mox's Zipcaster gets punished. The Enzap gets the pick there, and again, it's just going to be an all-out duel really between both of these teams here. We're just going to see multiple members dropping right now. Dark Master's on a delayed triple, and again, this Rainmaker gets popped. It is picked up on the side of Helios. 50, and now they're going to see if they can push right up ahead. Dark Master's goal right now for them is to stay alive, considering how condensed this map is. This can go from 0 to 100 fast. They lose 2. The lead has been swapped. Helios has the lead now, but the Rainmaker holder does go down. Mox is just trying to stop this push from continuing on, down to 19 points remaining, but this fight is still hanging on there. Everybody's jumping from Helios. They lose 2, and it looks like right now Helios, I think this push is going to get stalled right now. Dark Masters just has this Rainmaker popped in. Now you just got to get that Rainmaker out of there.
That was getting so dangerous for the Dark Masters there. Like, the Rainmaker shield was so yellow that if Helios had gotten the pop, so many members of Dark Masters would have been taken down. They did try to take it out off the rail there, but the bucket was just watching for it and was able to shut it down before they could take it too far.
Yeah, for sure. And now the Rainmaker is being picked up there, and that Rainmaker was being a little scary there, trying to hover it around near their base for a bit, and now they just finally drop down. And now Dark Masters, they lose the lead, and they lose 3 in the process. Staying alive, it seems to be a very tough thing at the moment, as it is now a delayed wipeout. Helios is able to win that fight all around, and we're gonna get to see that Rainmaker pop right away. And it looks like Helios is just content letting that Rainmaker sit there.
Yes, indeed. It is going to reset soon enough. Like, with a minute and a half left, there's still quite a bit of time of this match left, but we saw Dark Master trying to shake it up a bit, take it to the left side. The heavy was set up for a push, but thankfully, or I should say, Helios was able to catch onto it pretty quickly and shut down the push before they could get away with it, but that were dangerously close to that lead. Now, Helios has control of the map and the Rainmaker. They're going to be taken to this corner, and they have the option to push it up, but really they could just stay in this corner if they wanted to, but they are opting to take it up almost to the pedestal before they get shut down once again.
Yeah, just a lot of ink coverage from Dark Masters. At least this bought Dark Masters the time they needed to play on defense there, but they continue to lose 2. But that was clutch from Phantom, at least dropping the Rainmaker down to lower ground. And now again, Helios has to reset for this Rainmaker push, but I think Helios is going to be okay with that. And right now, Dark Masters, not much time left on the clock, but still a very manageable time, still a lot of time rather, that they can try to turn this one around and get the lead change, especially with this map in play. But they have to start finding those picks. They lose 2 of their own though. Helios' aggression is continuing to get rewarded.
With 20 seconds remaining on the clock, and Dark Masters having picked up the Rainmaker last, they are going to have to pick it up once again, even if they're not ready for it, just to keep the match going. Like, in order to take overtime, they have to have control of the Rainmaker, but they had 2 members down when they did pick it up, so they lost a lot of time just waiting for their members to come back, and they're already down 2 again with no specials except for that Kraken. Now, it could be a clutch play if they're able to get it in, but the bucket's coming in and does clean it up, giving Helios the 1.
Yeah, that will be Helios at least salvaging the 2-1 there. Yeah, the bucket just found a lone path to at least stop the Rainmaker. Darkmaster was literally just needed to get that bucket out of there, but the bucket was clutched the entire way through in the last 2 seconds. And again, with the way this map shaped out, I'm not surprised with the quick lead swap at all. And I think Helios definitely recovered from the first two maps where things were so close for that group, but they finally figured it out here in this Rainmaker map.
Oh, absolutely. I think like both of those first ones, just the amount of control that Darkmaster was able to take, just their coordination was so key for both tower control and zones, but then like just the amount of speed and just pressure that Helios was able to put on in that regular Rainmaker match, they were able to, just the one wipeout was enough to take that lead back, and I think that was what they needed to be able to flip the tables here.
Oh, absolutely. Darkmasters. I think really this was just the story of this entire set here. Iamad was you saw one team take a huge lead, and you would think that okay, maybe they can at least hold. It was an early lead, and then the other team just swings it right back with an even bigger lead of their own, and that is exactly what Helios did. They turned the tables on Darkmasters, and as you mentioned, full speed and just that crucial wipeout in that initial, in a much later fight. And it made it so Helios was just continuing to keep pushing forward, and forward was that name of the game. And yeah, Darkmaster just kept losing members when they were trying to play on defense close to that spawn point, and it just didn't seem to work out for Darkmasters overall, as the defense just started to crumble at that key moment when they tried to return fire on offense. Helios was just there to stop them.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is going to be 2-1 for Darkmasters, but still a close last game for both of them. Now, that will be the end of that set. We're going into a short break for our next one, but do you have anything else to say before we pass it off again?
I think this has been a very entertaining match to watch between both these teams, and I think from a pure entertainment standpoint, excellent set to watch, so both teams should be proud.
Absolutely. We'll be going to a short break, so stay tuned. We'll be right back. Well, hello there, everyone. We are back. Not too long of a break. Once again, it is Swimmer Sync 116th. It is Mad Game of the Second, joined once again by Gion. Our next set is going to be Sundrops versus the Whiprays. It's going to be our third round for the Nessie pools before we move on to the Great White.
Yes, and Sundrops and Whiprays. Not many members I recognize on both sides, so I'm going to be curious to see how both these teams duel it out. We saw a tale of two very interesting sets. One primarily unconventional but yet aggressive, and the other one just turning into a full aggressive mess across the board, and with both teams entering one up every time. I'm gonna be curious to see what this set paints for us, and this could be an interesting one to see how Sundrops and the Whiprays play out.
Indeed. I know the Whiprays is quite a regular here. Sundrops, looks like they are a full-on team, not potentially a pickup, but I don't quite recognize the lineup here. But honestly, it doesn't really matter at this point if we see returning players or not. Just like the surprises of the comps and the strategies we've been seeing come out here. Like it's a fun weekend apparently.
This has been the week where everybody's just going to the kitchen and just trying to cook whatever they can and just try to dish down the Swimmers. I mean, as much as I joke about it, it's kind of incredible to see. We saw double blob wobbers from round 1, and then round 2, the Rapid Blaster Deco and a Roller of all things. So at this point, everything that I've had in my book of what weapons to expect is just out the window at this point. Anything goes. We're going to be going into Scorch Clan Blitz now. Conventionally, I mentioned before, we could guess all the weapons that we want, but everything has been anything goes at this point. So, at least from my perspective, I could be seeing the typical ballpoint and splash as usual. But I don't think I've seen a ballpoint all night. I wonder if this set will break that streak.
It's a possibility. Like as you said, like it's just leftover night. It's just make whatever you can from what's in the fridge. And it looks like we're having some clam chowder for our first matchup. Clam Blitz on the Scorched Gorge. This one is a very open map, and with Clam Blitz, it opens up even more so. So, like, I could definitely see a ballpoint come into action, but, you know, like, again, we could be seeing potentially anything that is in the game right now.
This has been an anything goes Swimmer Sync this entire time. So I think what we definitely should do is highlight, you know, what weapons should be best from a conventional standpoint, because as you mentioned, ballpoint definitely a very solid pick. I always defer to the splash because it is always a very safe choice, especially with the crab tank in play, and especially with something like this. I wouldn't be surprised if we see weapons, especially with the bubbler, to help protect the offense if they get that push initially going there too. So basically a variety of choices I wouldn't mind seeing across the board.
Indeed. Now, I might be getting ahead of myself, but what are the odds we're going to be seeing Aerospray for the next one on Zone's Umami? Like,
I could see it, though. I could see it.
As you said, is anything goes tonight, but I have seen Aerospray used in Umami splat zones so effectively before, so I would not be surprised if we see it again, but it is going to be our first matchup, Clam Blitz and the Scorched Gorge. What do we have in store for us?
Yeah, Sundrop's going to be on yellow, and on the other side, Whiprays will be on purple here, and I don't think there's anything that's too out of the ordinary. I guess the only thing that's close to it is the range blaster from Cuber.
Indeed, and pairing that with the Hydra, all things like for Clam Blitz, I can see the Hydra being able to take space and keep that space, but they're going to be lacking a lot of mobility and paint with its comp. And, like, they have range, Tri-Slosher, and Hydra. Their only painters is Splash right now.
Yeah, this could be very difficult for the Whiprays, at least on paper, to get any sort of painting advantage. So usually when you're a team that lacks paint, your win condition has to be the picks. The issue with that, though, is on the other side you have 3 very aggressive players and a Nautilus to cover up the mid line. And what we're about to see right now is the first push starting for Sundrops, as they got multiple clams in already. That's gonna be 4 clams, make that 5 small clams trucked in after the power clam. Even more so coming in here shortly. 8 small clams on the power clam being cashed in, and the rest of the players are done at this point. So very quick push. It's there, but still not a bad lead to start things off.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to if the Whiprays are able to get some paint in the ground, because once they do, they have the kit, or they have the tools to be able to keep control of mid for an extended period of time. We already see 2 members of Sundrops going down, but the Tri-Strikes are going to delay this push from happening, and the range is going to be taken down. This could spell the end of the push before it can really get started, and that's going to be 3 members down for the Whiprays.
And you've highlighted it too, just the severe lack of painting. If you don't get enough paint down to at least get this push started, it started right now. As we about to see the crab tank going down, punished to a suction bomb. Very unfortunate there. As we mentioned though, the lack of painting I think is going to completely mess with the Whiprays here, because what we saw there, that could have been a great push, but the rest of the team's kind of spread out, and you're having to deal with the Blast who just can't really paint as much as they could. So ultimately the Whiprays push gets stalled right there, trying to go going down, and so does the Nautilus. We do see Ashley with the Wiper and the rest of the gang trying to follow suit, but 2 members down on Sundrops, so Whiprays has some time to at least recuperate and get some control back.
Yeah, the Whiprays have their work cut out for them, but to their credit, even though they went 3 down, they're already back in control of mid and in prime position to start that or get that basket open. The basket does go open with 2 members going down, and that Tri-Strike just trying to clean them up, keep them from getting more clamps in the basket, but yeah, they weren't quite able to get the pity clamp up, so already Sundrops is going to get that basket closed and control the zone back in their possession.
Yeah, just a one and done push there. The rest of Sundrops just completely punishing the rest of the Whiprays just there. The Whiprays were just trying to straggle right in, trying to get that initial push going. I like the idea though, just trying to get points on the board and try to see if there's any more follow, but it just wasn't there. So we do see that power clamp available from Sundrops, but that power clamp is going to need to be held on for a little bit longer as they lose 2. This is going to give time for the Whiprays possibly to get more control of the mid, and then possibly push up for another push here. But it looks like right now they're just trying to play this one a little patiently. I don't necessarily blame them at all for this one.
I think as we mentioned before, the key to the Whiprays comp is that they have to be able to get picks for it to be effective, and so far they've been able to do just that, but just once again, like they get picks, but they get taken down almost immediately before they can get this lead back, and the Sundrops, they're going to be pushing up once again and possibly open this basket. They already have the lead, but with more points on the board, a Tri-Strike tries to open things up. This could potentially not go in the Whiprays' favor.
Yeah, right now Whiprays, at least they're able to stop this switch from happening, but I don't think they're gonna bother picking up this pity clamp. That pity clamp is just gonna stay there, so it's gonna be the same pity clamp from earlier. No harm, no foul in this scenario right now, and it looks like Whiprays are just trying to assert as much dominance as they can. The splash going down, by the way, from the side of Sundrops, and it looks like Centopia is going to be the one to pick up this power climb. They found the opening, but where is the follow-up? They lose 2 out of all this one. They've broken down to at least 70 points remaining, but again, the pain just isn't there, and it's a wipeout, I'm at. Sundrops able to hold this one on defense.
That's going to be just the single power coming in. The Sundrops already opening up the Whiprays basket, getting it down to 36, and they still have a power climb in their possession. Now, of course, there's too much blue paint for them to get anywhere near the basket, but still, that was exceedingly quick with that comeback.
Yeah, definitely. Like, Sundrops wasted no time. They realized the wipeout was there, and now they were able to get this thing going, and I'm not entirely sure what happened there. So something I want to highlight there. Whiprays just picked up the pity clam, tossed it up there to get the other pity clam spawn, but nobody picks up, so they're just back to the same pity clam that was there. So effectively, they just cycled out a pity clam just to get another one, which didn't really mean a whole lot. And right now the Whiprays, they lose the Hydra. Huber's gonna be just trying to make sure they can build something for that group, but there's that jump in. It's just 60 points remaining. Where is the follow-up here, Ahmed? They have to find the other power clam, and the Booyah Bomb's just being thrown in there, but it looks like there's just going to be no clams extra and no power clam to speak of, and that will be Sundrops winning map 1.
Yeah, the Whiprays were just on the back foot for the majority of that match. Like, they got 4 pretty decent pushes in, but just there wasn't any follow-up for those pushes. They got it down to 60, but with the amount of clams that Sundrops were able to push in, it just wasn't quite enough. Now, once again, like, I think it really did come down to the amount of paint that they were able to put out. Or maybe even like not even just the paint, but just the special coordination from Sundrops. Like, every time that the Whiprays tried to make a push, Inkstrike came out, Inkzuga came out. So like they would push it into a hailstorm of fire and just either get taken down or just run out of time and weren't able to succeed in making that push.
I think we can combine both aspects of this one together here, I'm at, because the painting was just a problem. Sundrops just had way more paint than the Whiprays, at least when you look at the comps directly, and that's just exactly what has been applied here. But as you mentioned, the special coordinations, the triple ink strike there, that's a lot of paint, even more so going down, which just made it more difficult, honestly, for the Whiprays to find any sort of openings, because where we saw those ink strikes get thrown, it was just pretty much in the area where the Whiprays were just trying to push in the first place. So pretty much Sundrops just played that one really well, even if the points don't say otherwise. Like, I mean, Sundrops in this case just slammed the door shut on Whiprays anytime they tried to make a push, and anytime Whiprays try to make a push on their own, it's just quick one and dones every time.
Yes, indeed. Now, of course, going into splat zones, like I would be really surprised if Whiprays kept their current comp. Like it just Sundrops will destroy them for zones. So, like unless they're like just able to get wipeout after wipeout, they're not gonna be able to contest zone against what Sundrops has been able to bring to the table so far.
I mean, if they bring back the same comp on the other side, now they just have to hope that Sundrops dishes out an even weaker paint comp. But because this is zones, I wouldn't be surprised if you do see adjustments to account for more painting, especially when you factor in that this is Umami Ruined zones. This is a 2-zone map, and those zones are a little wide there too. So I know you joke about it earlier. Maybe you weren't joking about the aerospray being dished out, but maybe it's a possibility if they're running out of ideas. But I mean, as you mentioned, it's the lack of painting definitely hampered Whiprays a little bit. If they go back to the drawing board and possibly dish out a little bit more painting, I think they may have a better chance. And again, at least on paper, but Sundrops could also throw them a curveball by making some changes of their own.
Well, see, out of all those weapons that Whiprays brought to the table, I feel like the Splash is definitely going to stay. You know, Vanilla Splash, decent paint, crab in the middle, extremely strong. Now, it's just going to come down to what weapons do they want to keep. Do they want to keep the Hydra? Do they want to keep the range? Do they want to keep the bucket? But I don't feel like they can afford to keep all of them. Now, we might see the swap off for the backline, you know, bringing out a ballpoint or even a heavy spotting would not be a bad idea, but definitely going to be swapping off at least like either the bucket or the range to something a little bit more paint.
Now, they could still be instilling confidence in this comp here, because I don't think it's necessarily a bad. So I don't think it's necessarily bad with the way Umami Ruin's map itself shapes up, but it makes it a lot more difficult per se to at least get both of those zones, because again, you're gonna have to deal with a 2-zone map where the zone's a lot wider. So as you mentioned, it's not wise to keep three of the same those three combinations you mentioned. I believe you mentioned the Hydra, the Tri-Slosher, the Range Blaster as well. Keeping those three together maybe is gonna be very, very risky. They might be, if they opt to keep it, they have to make sure they can find those picks onto Sundrop. This map isn't a bad choice to do it, but but again, the lack of painting might hamper you again. So we'd like to see if there are changes that Whiprays are wanting to dish out.
I would say, like, my suggestion would be, like, especially when they're going up against that carbon roller, you know, keep the Tri-Slosher. You know, you have the cooler and you have the Fizzy Bomb, so keep the Tri-Slosher for some aggressive support. But then you swap off the Range Blaster for, honestly, I don't know what you'd want to swap off for, but the Range Blaster, not really a good matchup against the Carbon, especially with Umami Ruins. There's just a lot of corners that the Carbon can jump out at, especially if they're sharking on top. So, like, maybe, yeah, I don't know, like, Aerospray, bring out...
We're still thinking about it.
It just, all hold. I can't even think of it. Just like, yeah, anything goes. Bring out the Aerospray. That would be fantastic paint. And you bring out the gold Aerospray, that's going to be a Booyah Bomb in your kit as well.
Yeah, but if they keep the Hydra and then swap it out that way, it's a double Booyah Bomb, which could be a little bit more impressive. But again, your gold Aerospray is just going to continue to farm for paint every time there, because it's not necessarily the greatest at dueling. We're talking more about how Whiprays, how they need to adjust. Sundrops, obviously, you keep the same thing. It's still a very successful comp when you come into this one. And we've broken the streak of lack of ball points. We see it here. But the S-Blast and the mini Splatlings out for the Whiprays.
Well, we did see them keep the Splash and the Tri-Slosher, but I was not expecting either of those. We have the mini Splatling with the Burst Bomb and the Hammer. And then, of course, the S-Blast, the newest weapon. This is an interesting lineup, but could certainly work out well.
So I think I have a lot of feelings to break down here. More importantly, though, Sundrops has two splashes. They got a lot of pain right out of the gate, and then the Wiper and the ballpoint to help back them up. It's a very solid choice from Sundrops. Whiprays, I'm going to be interested to see how they execute with this S-Blast mini Splatling combination here. I think the name of the game is still simple, is to play aggressive and try to stamp down as much as they can. And it's exactly what we're seeing here. Two members, by the way, down, make that a delayed triple again on Sundrops. Now slightly delayed wipe. Whiprays, they get control back, and now let's see if they can pressure those Sundrops out.
Yes, indeed. That is going to be the zone flopping over to the Whiprays. Now, of course, with Umami Ruins, like, it is pretty open in the middle. The closer you get to the enemy base, the more of a bottleneck it becomes. So, like, if the Whiprays are able to take enough space, able to push up farther, like, they could potentially lock them out. But already we've seen Sundrops popping some specials. We see the hammer come out, the crab coming out. They're able to take at least one of the zones and 2 members of the Whiprays. However, Whiprays are still holding on to the other zone.
Yeah, and especially with the way that this map pans out, that other zone could be controlled for a long time. As soon as I say that, though, Sundrops immediately caps them both. So forget what I just said there in the past few seconds. As the Inkjet takes out Cuber, nice pick onto the Inkjet, and able to run away from the Ultra Stamp as well. Rhythm trying to find a few more. Rhythm takes out one. The Wiper goes down. And by the end of all this one, now a double actually before running into the triple link strike that was being thrown. And all this brawling being said and done, it's 2 members down from the Whiprays, and it looks like the Whiprays wrestled control for just a second or so before Sundrops takes it back. And of course, the point stays neutralized until now.
It's going to be all specials used and accounted for. Right now, the Sundrops has control of the zone, but with the double zone, all the Whiprays got to do is contest one to keep that timer from going down. But before they can do that, that's going to be 2 members of the Whiprays down. We saw the Reef Slider try to come out, but get taken down before they can use it. So the Sundrop is going to be taking his lead back.
Yeah, Sundrop's able to get this lead back, especially with full control of both zones, and now you just got to be able to make sure that Whiprays has no entrance to work with. The Bolt, we do see the mini Splatoon, excuse me, able to paint over one of those zones. It looks like Sundrops, they might be trying to find that response. Again, the Ultra Sam is just turning out to be key for the Whiprays. They are able to wrestle control back the other direction, but it looks like we are stuck in neutral once again. 2 members going down on the side of Sundrops. Full splashes especially going down. Good chunk of their painting out of the picture, and now Whiprays, they get control back. Again, some massive back and forth ensuing here, but it looks like Whiprays, they're at least holding on to both zones for now.
Right now we see that S-Flash just camping the ledge of that snipe, just making sure they aren't able to stand up at it. But all of Sundrop is going to be going up that left side there, going for that left zone, completely circumventing the defense for the Whiprays, and now that is going to be controlled back for Sundrop. They're going to be keeping this lead and putting a little bit of penalty to the Whiprays. The S-Flash does eventually go down, but Whiprays are still trying to wrestle control back, but just aren't able to do so successfully. And with that crab going down, they are going to have to force it back up.
What we have seen so far with the Whiprays is that Ultra Stamp from the mini Splatling itself. Speaking of the Ultra Stamp again, Rhythm, the rest of Whiprays, they're trying to take full advantage of the Ultra Stamp maneuver that Rhythm just had. They take out Smoke. Again, double splashes drop. There is the Wiper going down as well. Whiprays, they take control back. The nice squid jump at least punished Sofa King up there as well. Eon's jump is punished, however, and both squid jumps going down means despite the valiant efforts of that Ultra Stamp maneuver, it meant that Sundrops get both zones back by the end of it.
Yeah, that really hurt the Whiprays there. Like, we had the clutch hammer play taking down 3 members, but with 2, the jumps getting taken down, followed up by the refly cancel. Like, that's going to be a lot of time for Sundrops to hold the zone, and then, of course, the hammer getting stalled out as well. Like, Whiprays don't have any specials online to take back the zone, and down to 30 points and 30 seconds. Like, they are really running out of time here.
Yeah, but they are running out of time, but look at Rhythm. Rhythm's able to at least cap out that last kill for the wipeout. This should mean that the rest of Whiprays, they should be able to get both of those zones capped, but they have to hold on to this one here, I'm at. As long as Sundrops, they don't try to contest in, they're trying to take it in right now. 52 points remaining. They have to keep both those zones capped in here. Triple ink strike, 1 being thrown on both zones at this stage. We do see the Whiprays. They are trying to paint over this one right now. We do see the Neo Splash goes down as well. All that Sundrops need to do is cap the other zone. Where's Rhythm? If Rhythm can farm that Ultra Slam and at least use it, they are able to make that happen. But no, Sundrops gets both those zones back by the end of it. And Sundrops, they take home map 2.
Man, like, all Sundrops had to do was just cap the one zone and hold on to it. Like, just the special coming out, they were able to get the picks that they needed to keep Whiprays from holding on to zone. Just really a pretty strong victory for Sundrop here to bring it up to 2-0. Like, the Whiprays definitely learned from the last one, like bringing out the mini and then swapping to the S-Block. The S-Block still had that sprinkler in their kit as well, so it's still a little bit more paint in their comp, but just the amount of wipeouts that they had from Sundrops, and I feel like again that double off the jump And then the refly cancel just really put the Whiprays at a deficit, and just the one push led to Sundrops able to keep zone for the rest of the knockout.
That was that knockout though, at least able to wrestle it back by the end of it was a great effort from Whiprays to at least try to keep that offensive push going, but again they had to hold that for such a long time and bring it down to 16 points. It was a very difficult assignment there, and we rewind back, as you mentioned, both drops getting punished was so unfortunate because the hammer enabled so much for the Whiprays to get this push continuing in, but by the time they lose the Tri-Slosher, and I believe Sofa King with the splash going down as well, it just meant that their front line was just out of the picture. You're down to the minion the S-Blast. I mean, I don't know what else they can try to do in that situation with the rest of the painting and that ballpoint lurking large there. It's just a very unfortunate circumstance there for the Whiprays, and Sundrops was just able to take it home by the end of it.
Yes, indeed. Like, oh man, it did not work out well for the Whiprays. They held on to that for a good while. It's just like the one play really left them in a bad position for the rest of the match, and they just weren't able to come back from that. However, I feel like tower control, with what we've seen from them, especially with the kits that they wanted to play, I feel like tower control could be more in their wheelhouse. You know, it's more momentum based. If they're able to get that momentum going, all they need is really one good push to seal the victory.
And this mode, especially tower control, the Blaster's not a bad pick here, honestly. So I'd be curious to see what they dished out. And yeah, the Blaster's back. Actually, I think it's a very similar-ish comp they dished out from map 1. And now the counterattack from Sundrops. They're back to the Carbon Roller Deco, I believe, and now the Nautilus and the Viper and the Neo Splash. So yeah, just a few tweaking from Sundrops. The Vanilla Splash out of the picture for the Carbon Roller Deco. Otherwise, I think very similar from what we saw from map 1.
Absolutely, it was almost identical comps to map 1, and with tower control, you really don't need a whole lot of paint, but that's going to be the Whiprays getting a delayed wipeout there, and that see, once again, it's a very splat-heavy comp, so if they're able to get those splats, they are setting themselves up for a really good run.
Yeah, now Sundrops, they lose too. That was a very well-placed Booyah Bomb. Now they put the Crab Tank in a position to try to paint over and try to throw them out as much as they can. Cuber trying to short their way through, actually trying to use that Range Blaster effectively, but now losing the Range Blaster and losing the Hydra as well. Your two backlines going down. Your front lines are still up though, but now you lose the Splash, and now the Trinovo, I think, has to run away or find a way to escape. And now Sundrops, they took out members from the Whiprays, and now they're trying to push up on their own.
Now that was their strike getting used by Sundrops there. We do see doing it used as well, but already another strike is coming out. So if the Whiprays are able to get something online to stop this push, they could potentially bring this back. But two members down, and now the Hydra, that's going to be their Booyah Bomb out of commission, their main source of knocking away that tower. Sundrops is on quite a run here. We do see the Booyah coming out already. That must have been the juice in action there, keeping that Booyah Bomb alive, so they could keep the lead potentially, but Sundrops is putting on a heck of a fight.
Yes, Sundrops was spreading around, I think, trying to respect the rest of Whiprays there, because again, nobody really on the tower to keep that push going. I think if they stayed there for like maybe a few extra seconds, we could have seen a lead change, but instead we get to see Whiprays holding on to this lead by 3 points. But again, it's tower control, so you have to swing that push the other direction, see if they can get that one going. And right now I think both teams are kind of stuck in a small stalemate here. It is 2 down on Whiprays, so compared to the Nautilus down, and now you have 2 down on the side of Sundrops. So I think it's going to be a bit of a delayed push here, but I think both teams are going to be stalemating a bit lead coming into this one.
It's going to be tough for the Whiprays to have to break out, because once again, just Sundrops paint and then having the Ink Strike on top of that is going to allow them to hold a lot of space for a good long while. But once they start losing their members, that's going to be Whiprays' chance to be able to push back out, and we do see the 2 down potentially, but still they are sharking. They have good jumps in position, so they're able to keep their momentum alive. Whiprays are still on the back foot.
Yeah, Whiprays are still having to find members of Sundrops around the board, just trying to see where Sundrops is positioned here. But now both teams losing 2 though, but it looks like I think Sundrops are going to be very okay with this, with two members up, and now and with that trade going, the rest team should be able to jump up here shortly and now protect the rest of that group. But then we see 2 members down on Sundrops, but they make that a 3rd member, and all of a sudden what we thought could have been a lead change, Whiprays comes out on top with that fight win and comes out clutch.
that is going to be the one thing in their favor here. Like, having the Sundrops still need to get the second checkpoint. The Hydra and the Range Blaster can play such a solid defense for a good long while. As long as there's not an Ink Strike pushing them out of the way, like they could just knock down anyone who is on tower. Now, of course, Whiprays getting that 3 down gives them the chance to be able to push back out, but they have to be able to break Sundrop's defense, get another potentially 3 or 4 down once again in order to get the upper hand here. But Sundrops just has so much tenacity here. Like, they're able to take a couple of hits, get back on the tower, and start pushing again.
It's pretty much the same story, really, for Sundrops. They're able to get this one going, despite the fact that a few times their tower's going back to mid, and now they lose 2. That's a crucial 2. It's a total wipeout now, I'm at. As Sundrops, they take full advantage. They're past the second checkpoint, and now things are starting to break open on this one push. We see 2 members position on top there. Now the Whiprays, they're trying to find some of those picks there, because again, the painting, they don't quite have it there. They have to make sure that everybody plays from distance. They do take out 1, they take out 3, but where's the clutch? The clutch isn't there. They're trying to boast the only one alive. Eon at least holds. They have one last push left, but it's 8 points remaining for Sundrops.
That is a near knockout right there. Like, the Whiprays are going to have to get potentially a knockout to bring this back, but with the amount of paint that Sundrops already had on the map, it's going to slow down Whiprays' push out into mid. Now, of course, we see several specials online, but as soon as the strikes come out, that could be game over for the Whiprays, because like, it seems like any time that the Whiprays try to make a push, just the Ink Strike are going to be out, stopping them in their tracks. And then, of course, with the paint follow-up, it's so hard for them. But that is 2 downs off of Sundrops. Whiprays half the tower, and that's game over.
Yeah, that game over came in by very fast. I was wondering who was on the tower at that point, and it looks like I think it was the Hydra and the Sundrops were able to find a route to that Hydra. The tower goes back to mid. Yeah, Sundrops 3-0, and yeah, that final wipeout at the end of it, I think, just broke it open. I think there's nothing much else to say there. Sundrops, despite just repeated blow after blow, trying to make sure that Whiprays defense cracks open a little bit, they found it in the last minute, and Whiprays at that point, Whiprays needed to have a miracle on their hands to win that one.
Yeah, I was off talking about how the Ink Strike could spell the end of the game, but the unsung hero, the Carbon Roller, just sharking over on the one side, getting, I believe it was them that got the double and finally was able to get on the tower to stop the push. Sundrops taking it to a nice 3-0. Like, once again, that last game, anytime the Whiprays even breathed, Ink Strikes came out just to take control back. Anytime their Sundrops were 2 down, strikes coming out to take space back. It was an unrelenting attack against Whiprays, and they just weren't able to break hold.
Also great trip strike time, but also great patience overall too, because the defensive trip strikes made it very difficult for the Whiprays really to fight back. Because again, we keep alluding to it, just not the strongest painting comp. Not a bad thing in tower control, because the painting isn't necessarily the name of the game for that particular map mode combo. But when you have the triple ink strikes being thrown out, and especially on a map like Inkblot Art Academy tower control, that is very difficult to like try to break open and then try to get a push right in. And I think Whiprays, they had that great push, but they needed to hold on defense for the last 2 minutes. But by the time Sundrops kept trying to push and find those openings every now and then, Sundrops found the one time that the defense cracked for the Whiprays.
Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the match that it was going to come down to a momentum-based game, and Whiprays definitely had something going right at the beginning, but just Sundrops shut it down so quickly they weren't able to get that momentum back, and it just went against them the whole rest of the match. But that is, once again, going to be 3-0 for Sundrops. GG's to them, and GG's to the Whiprays as well. Now, before we go on to our break before our Great White Bracket, we have a bit of a game we're going to be playing for you. We're going to be playing Guess the Shellout Drop from our lovely streamer here.
All right, now I'm gonna make the one. I'm gonna start the guesses here, unless he's gonna start this one out right now. I think it might be a banner. That's my guess.
Ooh, a banner. I feel like it's gonna be an XP ticket. Not gonna lie.
I mean, that's also not wrong.
There's a safe bet. It's gonna be an XP ticket.
I mean, it usually is, and I think chat might be saying the same thing here too. I mean, what do we got?
Oh, a banner.
I'm right, everybody.
Well played. Well played.
What? I like to thank the Academy every time. No, I mean that banner also rules too. So,
Oh, that is a nice looking banner.
oh yeah, I 100% agree. So, Kiona apparently won and everybody else 0. I will take my winnings to the Academy here. So, no,
Just cash out. You're done. Leave
I
while you're
cashed
ahead.
out. That's that. All my guessing powers are done here. I'm at so. Yeah.
Yeah, I used all mine up on that Rapid Blaster.
Oh man.
All right. Yeah, that's gonna be the end of the Nessie pools. We're gonna be taking a short break before we move on to our bracket, our Great White bracket. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, everybody, to Swimmer Sync 116. Yes, it's that time. We got great white brackets coming up for you now. I'm Kyon. I'm Ed. Joins me as well. We got ourselves our first matchup of great whites coming up here, and it is the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse versus Cherry Limeade. I'm Ed. We know Cherry Limeade, I'm pretty sure, but then we got the other team, the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. This could be very fascinating to watch.
Oh, absolutely. You know, everyone knows Cherry Limeade, another household name, a long time SOS returning team. But then Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, a fantastic pickup team name. It's going to be interesting to watch. We were in the Great White. We had quite a bit of chaos in our pools. We could see things quieting down a bit. This could be the return of the usual comps that we're used to seeing, the meta variety, but who knows, they might surprise us once again.
Absolutely. We saw some absolute chaos from pool stages earlier. We saw double bloblobs from round 1, round 2 just the Rapid Blaster deck with Roller, and then 3 some very, very interesting composition choices for specific map modes. I think we might be right. We could be seeing some very proven weapons out here. But what I also want to spin it up here too, we got a pickup versus a proven team. So between both of these teams, we could get either some very proven weapon choices from either one side, and then we could get some very wacky weapon choices on the other. And we don't know which one will be which, so I think this will be a lot of fun to watch regardless of what weapons get played.
Oh, absolutely. Now, of course, once again, this is the Great White Bracket, so we are in our final bracket of the night. Both of these teams have fought hard and come out on top in their respective groups to get here, so like as you said, we could potentially see some wacky combos, but whatever they tend to use, they are well versed in what they are choosing, so it's certainly going to be a tough fight nonetheless. Our first match is going to be on the Rainmaker Museum. Going back to the museum, what do you think we can expect from this?
So we've seen Museum earlier today. So this Rainmaker, this Rainmaker map combination too. So I went up. So first of all, we got very quick pushes up ahead. Obviously, if you make the jump off of mid to the pedestal, that is a very easy push to make. If not, you'll have to take the detour around. I wouldn't be surprised if we see our usual weapon choice. We've alluded to it earlier in the cast. I'm at. We saw ball. We have ballpoint splashes, very safe choices across the board. I wouldn't be surprised if we see heavy deco, mainly for space building. So at this point, anything goes, but I wouldn't. But those are my 3 weapons I could be expecting for this particular map combination. What about you?
You know, that's a excellent question. I do know that Cherry Limeade, they have quite an impressive roster, but I do know that they have a regular junior player, maybe a couple of junior players on their team, but then also some dedicated backline. So we could potentially see a break from the norm, depending on whatever anchor they want to play. Ballpoint is certainly the most commonly seen here, but again, because it's Rainmaker, maybe we won't see a backline at all, but I think a junior coming out from Cherry Limeade is a strong contender. But of course, we have the usual splashes. Splashes just do a lot for a museum just because of how open it is.
Oh, absolutely. And we're about to get things underway. Round 1 of Great White Brackets coming up here. And it will be our pickup team, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse on the alpha/yellow side. On the other side will be Cherry Limeade to get things going. And we do talk about wacky weapon choices. We see a ballpoint for sure. The bloblobber from Cherry Limeade. Actually, it's a bloblobber on both teams. Correction to that.
We have a blob on both teams and a carbon on both teams. Like, the only regular pick is the NZAP and Bauble here. Everything else is like completely off the books. However, that is going to be a lot of yellow paint out there for the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. It looks like they're going to be getting the first pick or the first push of the match.
Yeah, this first push of the match will go to the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse as 2 members and now 3 members, and then now a delayed wipeout. Cherry Limeade responds in kind on that defensive play. Goose goes down as well. Cherry Limeade, at least they stopped that check, the Rainmaker from going any further. But it is, of course, the first checkpoint for the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Now we got to see the 8-Jet, and now a perfect jump, but the 8-Suga is placed perfectly. Cherry Limeade loses 3. The pickup team of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse has pulled through. They stopped the attempted push from Cherry Limeade.
3 members down and a lot of yellow paint. That carbon is just going to have to sit back and shark, but they are going to be taken down along with the Wiper. And then because Mickey Mouse Clubhouse has their checkpoint out of the way, they can start pushing forward and getting more points. Ooh, with the dualies up top, there's going to be a major distraction, possibly some picks if they go unchecked.
Yeah, this could be a lot of picks coming in here if they let Mickey Mouse Clubhouse run wild, but they lose 3. A delayed triple. Cherry Limeade was going to pick up the Rainmaker and run with it. So Cherry Limeade, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse actually will go to 44 points remaining. But it looks like Cherry Limeade may have actually been able to get this first checkpoint, and they do, able to sneak it around. The members of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse not in position. So both teams, they break through the first checkpoint to get things going, and now it's going to be the brawl in Museum del Fontino Rainmaker. This could be a very interesting back and forth that we see here, but more importantly, both teams breaking through their checkpoints.
That was a nice push from Cherry Limeade, Keon. Like, we saw 2 members of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse pushed up, still being quite aggressive on Cherry Limeade's plat, and with the other 2 respawning, all the carrier had to do was just go the long way around, take up that right side, and just sneak it out of the way to the checkpoint. And now that's going to be a delayed wipeout off of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse with the ballpoint off of Cherry Limeade coming back from spawn, jumping in. They could get the pop here if they weren't taken down by the dualies.
Yeah, and it looks like Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, they're just finding all of the angles. Cherry Limeade is being caught off guard with where Mickey Mouse Clubhouse are finding these picks. And now the Rainmaker is just trying to push up ahead. It's going to be the NZAP guy, Goose, picking up the Rainmaker. Blobber is there. Krim is trying to fight from the back, but this might be a distraction maneuver. The Crab Tank is putting paint down on the turf. The Rainmaker holder goes down. Goose goes down. The Inksuga strikes big. Kane with that Carbon Roller takes out 1. The Inksuga takes out a 2nd. Another triple going down on Cherry Limeade's end. And this time, though, I think Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, despite all the valiant efforts and all the picks across the board, it's only 33 points remaining.
Cherry Limeade has been able to break out of their base a couple times now, but every single time Mickey Mouse Clubhouse cleans up so quickly. Like, we see once again there's just so much yellow paint on the map right now, and they're pushed up so far into Cherry Limeade's plat that they're just keeping the pressure consistently going. And with the Carbon Roller is a big part of that. That's 2 down. Just the Carbon keeping this corner. Like, all they got to do with that lead is keep the Rainmaker in this corner. The Carbon just so much lead camping potential here. Like, Cherry Limeade is not able to catch a break.
Yeah, Cherry Limeade is just having to continuously play defense fast, and yeah, Kane getting that double right there, which is just giving Mickey Mouse Clubhouse a lot of time to just continue to push on offense, and now they're breaking through this Rainmaker right out of the gate. The Trizuka, losing the Trizuka duel. Cool wins that one. They do lose 2, though. The Blobber and the Ballpoint, going down on the side of Cherry Limeade. Cool trying to fight, but is surrounded by 3 members. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, they are finding members across Cherry Limeade despite the insane brawl that is happening across the board. Nobody's giving themselves a time to breathe and assess the situation. They're just going to keep fighting every time, I'm mad.
Yes, indeed. Now we're down to our last man here. We did see the dualies jump out with that crafting, but they are going to be taken down. However, with 2 members of Cherry Limeade down as well, the Blob is able to just keep some pressure going, keep them from really being able to push forward with that Rainmaker. However, we see the special gauges, they're going up. Hammer is online. Inkjet is online. Cherry Limeade has the Rainmaker in the possession. They're going to be trying to make a move here in this last 20 seconds. They don't have too far to go. They are so close to that lead, just a couple points away, but 3 members down, just Grim on that Wiper left remaining, and the rest of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse all up. They're going to be picking this up in the last 10 seconds and just keep it in this corner to stall it out for that potential KO.
Will they get the KO? Yes, it was really close, actually. We just saw Krim trying to swim up and then take out the Rainmaker holder there, but it is not quite enough there, and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse dishes out the first map win here, and again, match point coming up here for Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, but what a statement so far from Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Cherry Limeade may have been caught by surprise. This team might be the one to look out for with the way they've been playing.
Honestly, again, I should not be surprised with just how pools went, but we are in the Great White, our top bracket right now, and we're seeing blobs in play here, not from one team, but from both teams. It blows my mind. But of course, the MVPs of that match were the dualies and the Carbon Roller from Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. We saw the amount of aggressive plays that they were made, just the sheer aggression and pressure was put on Cherry Limeade. There was a good minute where they couldn't move off their plat. The Rainmaker was just stuck in that corner, and the Carbon in the lower area, just they couldn't get close enough to break it and get away with it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, they were playing fast and aggressive, and I mean absolutely fast. They were, again, they weren't really giving Cherry Limeade time to just assess the situation or breathe for a second there. Once Cherry Limeade just quickly goes back up, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse was already there just trying to attack Cherry Limeade on every angle imaginable, and I like to highlight here, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse found so many openings against Cherry Limeade on that first map alone, and they just kept running circles around them. The points seemed a little closer than we expect, but I mean, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse just played fast and played that one well. And now we're on to Barnacle and Dime for Clan Blitz, and if it's anything I've learned from Pool Sages in that last map, I mean, any weapon at this point goes. Everything that I had on my notepad is just out the window.
Oh, absolutely. Now, of course, with Barnacle and Dime, like, it's still Clan Blitz, so you get to a point where there's a bit of a bottleneck that you have to get through, a bottleneck that you can defend. But with Barnacle and Dime is a lot wider in the middle than Museum is. Like, Museum, you really gotta have control of that ramp area in order to make any sort of push for points. But with Barnacle and Dime, like, we're gonna be seeing a lot more 1v1 fights going on. It's like, whoever can get those picks and be able to come out on top with the player advantage is the one that's going to be winning. And we're seeing now a 10th umbrella coming out from Goose.
Wait. Look at Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. The pencil's in play. Nikos has the pencil.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so again, if it's anything we've learned from Swimmer Sync, anything goes. But I've heard from a little birdie or pal of mine, pencil could be a nice counter into what the ballpoint plays for Nova. That's a cooler and a lot of range to work with for Nico. So this is actually a really stellar pick. But also, as you mentioned, the Sorella Tunt Umbrella. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is just pointing out all the stops, and I think at this point, this is just anything goes for Swimmer Sync this week.
It would certainly seem so. That's going to be a third down off of Cherry Limeade, and now Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is going to be coming in to do what they do. Push up, be aggressive, and just take so much space. Now, of course, we called out the unusual picks from Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, but on the other side, Cherry Limeade is rocking a what is it, the bow there? Yeah, the reflux. That used to be a major component because of the amount of missiles that can break out, but you don't see it too often nowadays. To bring it back here is an interesting pick, but with the unusual picks from Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, it might be just what they need.
Yeah, this entire round is just a lot of unconventional picks across the board here as well. Also, the 52 in play, I believe, from Cherry Limeade. So really, anything that we saw from the previous map is just a fundamental difference. The constant here is Kane on the carbon roller as Kane goes down, right as I call it their name. Pika finds one, and Pika will go down in the process. Again, that's the only major change really between the weapons across both the two maps. And right now, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, they got two power clams on hand here. We got Candy and Nico with the Snipe Fighters. See if they can build that opening. See if they can get a push to get things going. Triple Ink Tray is going to build that opportunity, but Pika trades. I think this push might get stalled a little bit.
I honestly thought they were going to have the basket open there, but it looks like the shot decided to go for that reflux that was up in the snipe area, and so they lost their second power clam, but they were able to get the one in, plus a couple of follow-ups, so that's going to get them in the lead and push on the board, but they're still in a good control of the basket here. Like, if they have more clans, they can start getting them in, but that's going to be 3 down off of Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, and not a bad starter push, but Cherry Limeade might have something to say about it.
Yeah, Cherry Limeade, now it's your time to respond if you have one. You got a free power clam in the back that you can take full advantage of. As Kane going down again on the carbon roller side there. Actually, another power clam's up there, but immediately going down, though. That's going to be 2 members dropping there, but Kenny does go down. Nova takes advantage of that H-Jet, and now the sniper goes down. Nico goes down as well. This is going to be the barrier broken. I believe we might be seeing more clams being chucked in, but it looks like that power clam also just a bit short, so it won't be the lead change. Cherry Limeade just a little bit short on this push, but at least it cuts the deficit a little closer, I should say, and at least at this point, it's still manageable for Cherry Limeade, but they got to get another push going. Krim is going to take out one.
I was going to say, like, even though that Cherry Limeade wasn't able to take the lead back, their ballpoint was able to survive and jump out, so they had a full force in mid ready to make a second push, but then as soon as they got back to the line of scrimmage, they got 2 members down, and they are looks like 1 or 2 down once again, so Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is going to shut down that power clam and start taking mid back with another pick from the snipe right here, and the Viper going down. Like, they are just on a tear right now.
Yeah, this incredibly fast team is still managing things here as Nico spawns another power clam up ahead. And yeah, even though it's Clam Blitz, things can be a little slow and methodical, but they are still playing fast. They're still playing to the name of their game there as 2 members going down. Nico throws that power clam. It's now 3 members down on the side. It's now a total wipeout, and I do see a power clam that is available. If they can make this squid jump with the power clam manageable, they will break this down to 15 points. They just gotta throw it in there. 5 more clams for the KO, but I don't think there's any other clams that are there. Nico just actually does have 3, but needs to throw them in to at least extend the timer. It's 3 members down, actually. It's another wipeout. Oh my goodness. Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, 2 more clams to take this one home, and they do. And Mickey Mouse Clubhouse schools Cherry Limeade in the first 2 maps and win round 1.
Wow, that like the beginning of that match just started out so even, but then like that one push, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse absolutely steamrolled Cherry Limeade. Like it started out slow, like they were a full Cherry Limeade force up in mid, ready to play defense, be able to get another push going, but then they started getting those splats out like one after the other, so the fact that Cherry Limeade was staggered, and so once they started getting the man advantage, they were able to start pushing out with that Tinkerbell and the Snipe Rider, and then once they got control of mid, that's when the Ink Strikes came out and just completely opened up the court around the basket, and then it just like from there, just Cherry Limeade was too staggered to really make a defensive force, just got taken down one after the other, just weren't able to keep them from getting that KO.
I mean, I may have went a little nuts there, but I mean, this was almost Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, as you mentioned. A lot of staggering from Cherry Limeade. You can kind of get the sense that that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse was just rearing up and ready to go. And at that point in time, Cherry Limeade, they were just trying to find any openings that they could. They had a really good initial flush, and I think the Power Clan being just a bit short to swap lead would have been nice, but I mean, as we saw with that final push, Mickey Mouse Clubhouse not only cleaned house, they lost 2 and still managed to get a wipeout by the end of it, despite the brawls everywhere. And Mickey Mouse Clubhouse just showed up to play, and I mean, they just took out Cherry Limeade in that first round alone. That was still incredible to watch.
I think like, so on paper it would seem like that Cherry Limeade had the advantage as far as like their comp point. Like they had the 52, they had their reflux, they had their ballpoint, like they just had a lot of paint able to take it back, but the synergy between the Snipe Rider and the Tentacruella alongside that Aim Strike, like they were able to, they're basically a tank every time they rolled up to mid. Like every time they wanted to get a push going, we just saw the Ink Strikes come out with the Tenta following up and just opened up so much space for them to get in.
I mean, on paper, on paper, as you mentioned, that is a composition that more often than not could be absolutely dominating, but I think the way Mickey Mouse Clubhouse played that entire composition themselves well with the Sorella, Tentacruella, and the Snipe Rider. I gotta note the Snipe Rider also did some work as well. The Snipe Rider, again, I mentioned before, Willow Birdie once told me that Snipe Rider could be a nice counter for the ballpoint if played correctly, and I don't think it was a direct counter to the ballpoint. But that by itself, it has the cooler. You can play very fast with that comp. The way that Mickey Mouse Clubhouse played that last map, and they just completely showed up and just took out Cherry Limeade on a 2-0.
Oh, absolutely! It was just completely shut down the last half of that match. Taking over the bracket here. We were mentioning earlier, just like we have so many like well-known names in this top bracket, but then the amount of silly pickups as well that made it this far is like, would you just read off some of your favorites here?
Yeah, I'm gonna name some of these teams that have made it here. 3 Fs and a loss is very solid. Grimace Shaker is there. Of course, we just casted Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That bottom of the bracket is just absolutely silly territory, to say the least. Because you get, if I'm reading this team name right, it's the Sleep Legend of Grandma's House KIMCHI. I believe that's the official name of that team that is participating. It is a great team name for that one. Correction, it's the Silly Legends of Grandma's Homemade Kimchi. That bottom half of the Great White Bracket has amazing name potential, and I would love to see how all of these teams play.
Oh, absolutely. But unfortunately, that is going to be the end of our run here. We're going to be passing off to another set of commentators for the rest of the Great White Bracket. So before we head out, where can the good people find you, Keon?
Yes, you can find me at twitch.tv and Twitter, Kion2570. I will just post a lot of stuff on my Twitter, whatever I feel like, including Splatoon. Streams content-wise, I'm primarily variety, but I also play Splatoon as well. So you can smash that follow button on both if you want to. Where can the great people find you, Imad?
Well, you can find me in all the usual places, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, and I'm @GamerII. And you can also find me here on the SOS. I'm more often not here commentating these fantastic matches, and tonight was a exceptionally fun time. But thank you all for hanging out with us. Thank you, Kion, for commentating with me, and thank you to our streamer, Toshi. It's been an absolute blast so far. We're going to be passing off to our next set of commentators. We have Toma and We Like Rice next up, so stay tuned. We'll be back soon enough.
Welcome back, everybody. We're here with SOS, and we're in our top 8 now. I am Toma, and I've got Rice here with me. Rice, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. There's been some crazy matches today, and I'm excited for how the rest of this top cut is gonna go.
I am too, and we're gonna be starting off with a great matchup. It's Aoba Josai. Sorry if I am butchering that name, versus Centopia, a well-established Division 1 team, and I believe Aoba Josai is a pickup. So tell me, Rice, what do you think about this matchup we've got going on?
I think this is a pretty strong team. If I recognize these names correctly, some people from Aoba Josai are part or were part of Micklin Heroes. I recognize Dafter from Micklin Heroes, and then Centopia is like, I think if I remember correctly, was a Division 1 team. So this is probably going to be a very close match between these two strong teams.
Yes, it definitely is going to be, and we're going to be starting off, I believe, on tower control, Hagglefish Market, if I am reading our map list correctly. And tell me, what do you think of that map, Rice? What do you think the strategy is here for these two teams?
I definitely think tent control will be very important, whether you're pushing or you're defending, whether you're on that left side or the right side, whichever team gets to those positions fast enough, I think they will get the advantage. They will have the advantage for the rest of the game.
Oh, absolutely. I know these tents are, you know, I'm a backliner, and these are my favorite places to stand on this map. You know, great for ballpoint, great for leader, anything that can kind of reach out, see, and especially keep an eye on that right hand flank. You gotta be able to keep that locked down as a team's anchor player. Make sure you're not letting anybody in through there and getting the flank in on your front lines that are trying to get control of that tower.
Yeah, most definitely. We'll probably. I would not be surprised if we see ballpoint on both sides, but I actually think this is a pretty strong E-leader map. So I would not be surprised to see a charger on either of these teams either.
Yeah, definitely. Even I've seen good work out of even Heavy Deco on this map. Of course, you know, Kraken isn't the immortal beast that it used to be on tower control, but it definitely can still buy your team just a little bit of time or get that GG special when you need it. And that's kind of, at the end of the day, if you can squeeze out a win with that, I know these teams will be taking it. But I'm interested to see. We've seen, you know, a kind of a weird mix-up of weapons on stream so far. I've been tuned in since round 2 of Nessie's pools, and we've seen some kind of crazy picks coming out. So curious to see if that's going to return here, or if we're going to see more of a return to kind of standard comps that you would expect out of these higher level teams.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. We saw the Snipe Rider last round, and who knows? I've heard from a Snipe Rider player this is one of the best maps for them.
Yeah, and we've seen it a lot in SOS recently. It actually won last SOS, but we are gonna see not the Snipe Rider, but we're gonna see that nice Z and F charger with those strikes, and of course a ballpoint on the side of Centopia. Definitely more traditional looking teams coming out here as opposed to what we saw last round.
Yeah, we see both sides going with that cooler comp. They're probably both trying to look to get advantages with that cooler and just keep pushing up with the momentum that they have with it.
Absolutely, but right now they're going to be fighting it out in mid. You know, it's always a tough move to try to break through and get this first tower push, since you don't really have a safe way through that small mid area. But right now the Inkjet looking to create that opening, creating a lot of pressure, going to be backing up Aoba Josai, finding 2 picks as a team there, and now Centopia going to be moving this tower on over to the first checkpoint. They've got that cooler active for this fight to be able to get through this, but you see that charger there on the right hand side trying to find a pick, but not quite successfully so as the first checkpoint falls.
Yeah, but we actually see the splash with the crab tank takes out that charger, so for the side of Josai, they might need to play this a little slower, waiting for the charger to come back.
They definitely are there, but now you got 2 down on Centopia too. Don't want to make waste of that opportunity to try to get in here. It looks like Lex is going to be doing that. Sees this jump here under the tent, going to be taking that out. Looks like that's going to be Centopia's first push done, especially as we reach that full wipe. Gonna give Josai some time to be able to move out into mid and take some space forward through that kind of choke point area.
Yeah, Josai moving in onto mid, but they need to be careful because I believe on the side of Centopia, they had cooler spawns, so they're gonna be back very fast, and the special charge is gonna be back up as well.
Yep, and we can already see Centopia ready to fight this tower as it moves over to that first checkpoint. You've got the Splash jumping onto the tower, forcing a jump out from the tower rider. Centopia gonna have successfully defended that first checkpoint, now pushing in, getting 2 picks, another one going down there, and a little bit of some stagger happening now. And Centopia now taking strong control back of mid. Bingo here on this ball point, looking to just kind of mop up some little bit of paint, see if they can build up some more points towards that Inkjet before moving out here to more of a position you'd expect from them to start applying pressure for this push.
Yeah, we see both of the killer whales coming out from both sides, but on the side of Centopia, they have this crab tank ready to use. Although it's not on high ground, it can still do a lot of work here.
Yes, it can, and right now they're just trying to pressure this second checkpoint so close to falling, but doesn't quite get there, as there's, I believe, 1 count away from breaking that checkpoint instead. Oh, did it end up breaking? I think it did, actually. We saw it returning for just a second, but it looks like they got back on just in time to be able to continue that on. And now, Rice, this is a great position for Centopia. That second checkpoint is just really crucial in order to secure a victory. This is not necessarily one of those maps where you always see a knockout. It's really hard to get past that second checkpoint, and now Josai definitely has their work cut out for them as they're trying to push forward, but they're making great use of these strikes to be able to take this space, as this first checkpoint is going to fall right here, Rice.
Yeah, like Toma, we see here that the second checkpoint is hard to get through, but Josai actually getting to the second checkpoint pretty easily. If they can get past and break this checkpoint, it will make their second push, or even this push, go even faster.
Yeah, but that bingo there on that Inkjet, really making sure that's not going to be happening, trying to shut down that push there and then, but it looks like they're going to be camped on their return by that 52. But look at that, Scrappy Bingo able to get out, just using that nice movement. Of course, now you don't want Josai over there. It's not really a good position for you if you're Centopia, but you know, the tower still has to come back. Right now, Lex can't provide much pressure there, so is going to be forced to kind of jump out to regroup with their team for the offensive. About 40 seconds left in this game. They have 5 points they need to be able to pick up to take the lead.
Yeah, but we have to remember, they still have to get past that second checkpoint. Even if they get back to it, they're still going to have to go through the full timer.
They sure are, Rice, and that's what makes this part so tricky, especially if Centopia can just kind of charge up those GG specials and they get that keep that Inkjet online until the very end. That's going to be really good for them to shut everything down. The Splash is going to go down, losing them their crab tank, though, but do they see the person coming from behind, kind of on the long flank? The N-Zap there going to be looking to get that pressure onto the tower. It looks like they hadn't spotted. Oh, stand corrected. They are spotted out, but Centopia, I believe they're able to jump on the tower in just a moment of hesitance and shut down that game before Josai was able to completely break there, if I'm correct. And yeah, it looks like that's exactly what was able to happen.
Yeah, Josai had a really good chance of taking the lead there. If that flank from Centopia got caught any sooner, I'm pretty sure Josai would have taken that game.
Absolutely. You know, just that little extra bit of pressure, I think, took their attention away from what was in front of them and allowed that last player to slip right onto the tower, securing that game for Centopia. But really close. A lot of back and forth there, Rice. And, you know, I think that's going to be interesting, especially going into our next map, Rainmaker Tower Controls, or Rainmaker Undertow Spillway, excuse me, is what I meant to say there, because this is one of those maps where I think if you can get a wipe like you saw those teams happen, you can push really far, really fast. And if you don't knock out and you let your team wipe, you can see that traded really fast.
Yeah, for sure. On Rainmaker Undertow, we always see people going towards that left checkpoint and for the left push, because that left push gives us a more sustainable push. But if there is a wipe, a lot of teams try to opt for that right side for quicker points and maybe even a chance to knock out from taking that ramp up.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the left side definitely the safer play, and then you know even there, you kind of have the decision on that left side to be able to take that uninkable spot where it's kind of just a brute force push through, or a little bit of a safer but longer option on the greats. So definitely lots of choices here for these teams to be making as they push forward. But of course, you know, kind of the standard route we see is usually that left hand on the uninkable, waiting until you just have that man advantage to be able to just push it through there as fast as you can, trying to avoid any oncoming fire.
Yeah, definitely. That's usually where you see everyone just throwing all their specials there. Whether they have tri-strikes, crab tank, inkjet, will always see that all those specials coming out on that side of the map.
Yep, you're absolutely right. We're going to be seeing what they're bringing to the table if we see any mix-up from these teams. But it looks like relatively the same comp coming out. I believe that's actually the same comp from both sides, knowing that they've got already what works with them, as they're going to be rushing out to see who can get first pop on this Rainmaker. Only object shredder we see is from that sniper, so kind of had equal contention there, but the pop ultimately going to Josai as they create some space in mid. But it looks like, you know, with those specials being popped, Centopia is not going to give up that space for free. They're already working on pushing Josai back. They have control of this Rainmaker, but none down quite yet. That Inkjet coming out in tandem with the Crab Tank and the Whale. They really know what they need to do to get pressure down, but it looks like unfortunately their Rainmaker just goes down on that left-hand side before they can really get a push going.
Yeah, they have to be careful though. The Rainmakers on that left side on their own, and actually on the side of Centopia, they go 3 down, and this is Josai's chance to push back into mid.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give Josai an opportunity there. You know, kind of just running forward on Centopia there is going to cost them a little bit of space. You see that ballpoint really backing up, trying to make sure that they're not going to go down as well. Now this splash looking for a little bit of an off angle, but already seen by that charger and that slosher from Josai, who are going to be putting excellent pressure, making sure they're not going to just be able to get up there and crab tank for free. Centopia is 1 down right now, and you've got Josai popping these specials, trying to get a push going in. They're going to be going on that left side. Don't get too far before going down, but now it's kind of equal, 2 down on both sides. You have Josai members up, trying to keep the pressure to keep this push going. That slosher sitting there under those ledges, trying to do what they can to take everybody out, but now you got the crab tank, of course, out on the side of Centopia, and it's just kind of a big neutral battle right now. A nice pick there onto the charger, but the Rainmaker is ultimately going to reset, and now these teams are going to have to scrap it out in mid once again, all up, with Centopia in control of this Rainmaker currently.
Yeah, definitely. We see one go down for the side of Josai, but actually a flank from the end zap takes down the Rainmaker, and Centopia has to repop and start moving again.
Yeah, and here's really the first big push that we've seen, able to get up to that pedestal finally and find the first break on the check. This is definitely where you're going to see, like we said, those specials being popped. The Whale tries to come out. The strikes, I believe, are coming out there, as they did actually opt to go the little bit longer but safer route there on those grates. It looks like they do fully get around the grates, taking their score to 33. Now Josai gonna have to pick up, oh my gosh, actually it looks like Centopia there snuck back in and just immediately taken out by the 52. They're going to be opting to pick it up this time, maybe a little bit scared that somebody from Centopia will sneak back in and pick it up again. Definitely not something you want to happen in your base, and Centopia was able to just kind of nudge score down a little bit more with that play as well, taking it to 29. Josai now trying to look to see if they can find the checkpoint break on this left-hand side, this 52 gal in a great position, but the Rainmaker going down behind them.
Yeah, they have to be careful of this inkjet. Whenever the ballpoint has inkjet, they can easily just pop it and just target the Rainmaker whenever they start push, and that just makes Josai have to turn around and focus on repopping or just hiding from that inkjet.
Absolutely, and Centopia is doing kind of a great job of just getting behind and in some weird positions on Josai. We saw it with that Rainmaker pickup in the base for the 2 extra points, or how many extra points it was, and we saw it there for the kill on the Rainmaker. We saw it last game, of course, with the flank from the Inzap. You've really got to watch your backs if you're Josai, because Centopia will slip in there and get a kill if you're not paying attention. And it's going to be ever so important, especially when you're feeling the pressure of this last minute. You know you're going to have to make a huge push, so you've really got to watch all of your angles.
Yeah, but Josai needs to just play a little patiently. I feel like when they do start trying to push, they push it a little too fast. While on the side of Centopia, they take it a little slower and make sure they're going in with 2 or 3 specials, or at least with the numbers advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, speaking of too fast, Rice, this right-hand checkpoint, not one that teams usually go for, specifically because of how close it is to the enemy spawn. It's really hard to be able to continue a push from here. Centopia looks like they popped that Rainmaker though, so it will potentially be resetting and giving some time for Josai to be able to get back in, but they've got to pop that Rainmaker shield fast, and of course they're in such a predictable location, right? This ballpoint just going to be firing right at the Rainmaker, knowing that Josai has to pick it up. And now all the pressure's on them as this overtime buzzer is going off. They have one more chance to make it. You've got that whale coming out, and look, the Rainmaker though in front of their teammates. No one there to defend them from those shots, and they are gonna go down. Centopia gonna be taking the set 2-0 race.
Yeah, this was such a tough game for Josai to push back in. We could see that Centopia was just putting down as much pain, as much pressure as they could during the whole game after they got that lead.
Absolutely, and that is going to be punching their ticket to go to semi-finals race. And you know, we look here at our bracket, maybe showing in just a minute, but Centopia is going to advance on the other side of bracket. Grimace Shakers took a 2-0 victory over 3Fs and a lost, and right now the silly legends of Grandma's Homemade Kimchi and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse 1-1 to see who's going to be fighting it up against Grimace Shakers. Same with the Salt and Pepper in Bad, also 1-1 to see who's going to be fighting with Centopia in semis.
Yeah, these 1-1 sets are extremely stressful for these two, for all 4 of these teams, because they know this last game determines if they'll move on to round 3. And we actually just got the update on one of the brackets.
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, and I believe that's also gonna be our next stream match. We'll be seeing the silly legends of Grandma's Homemade Kimchi versus Grimace Shakers coming up real soon, but we're gonna go on a quick break while we let these teams, you know, talk to each other, get into this room, and we'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to SOS. We are now in semifinals. You know, as we said before, we signed off very briefly. We're going to be here with the silly legends of Grandma's KIMCHI and Grimace Shakers. And, you know, it sounds like they're ready to give us a whole meal here, right? Some kimchi and the Grimace shake. Looks like we will be eating good this match.
Yes, I hope they at least share that kimchi with us after having to say their name so many times and how long it is.
Yeah, absolutely, Rice. I'm so excited to see. We were kind of talking about this off stream. Grimace Shakers, believe is kind of one to buckle my shoe, but a little bit rebranded. Of course, they're a team that we have seen here time and time again on SOS. You know, they've been able to win the whole thing too. And on the side of silly legends of Grandma's homemade kimchi, we have a lot of regular SOS players as well. Not as familiar with that team as I am with Grimace Shakers, but familiar enough that I'm like, yeah, I know y'all. Y'all usually do pretty dang well, which of course you have to do pretty dang well to be able to make it semis here in Great White.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably just some friends who were like, hey, let's play SOS. Let's have a fun name to hurt the commentators to say.
Absolutely. And we're going to be starting off, Arias, on one of my personal favorite maps. Not sure quite how you feel about it. Would love to hear your opinion. Splat Zones on Museum del Oficina.
I've always said this a lot, but Museum is probably one of my best maps, and Splat Zones is probably my best mode in this game. So it's definitely a map mode that I love playing on. We always want to make sure when you're an advantage or disadvantage, that we should be watching that flank side, because you can just take that squid roll down onto the side, and that's a pretty good flank when you're trying to get out of that lockout situation.
Absolutely, I agree. I'm glad to hear, I'm on mic with another fan of Museum Zones. My own team calls me a little bit crazy for liking it, but they're a bunch of haters. So we're gonna spread our love for this map, getting into it, and I'm always gonna comment on any non-ballpoint splatlings that I see, and I see that Heavy there, my beloved, my main in Splatoon 2. Absolutely love to see it, but not too much of a surprise. Pretty much basic comps we're gonna see coming out here, although notably we do see that the silly legends of Grandma's KIMCHI, I'm just gonna be referred to as KIMCHI from now on, does appear to be running that cooler comp, gonna be playing a little bit faster. Grimace Shakers not opting for a cooler, but they still have great weapons here to work with.
Yeah, on the side of KIMCHI, they need to be careful and watch where this roller is headed. A sharking roller is definitely a very dangerous thing to fight.
Absolutely, especially with the kind of ledges that it can sit under here on Museum and just wait for you to drop or apply pressure to that backline, especially that Heavy, who they seem to be pestering right now, and goes down. Grimace Shakers in a great position at this moment to hold on to this zone as it's ticking down. It looks like it's about to be passing right past the halfway mark, as KIMCHI is going to be finally breaking through, using these strikes to cap zone, stopping Grimace Shakers' push at 43.
Yeah, and the players on the side of KIMCHI who have last-ditch effort will start feeling the effect of it now. And we see this wave breaker come out from the heavy splatling, which will help locate this roller.
Yeah, KIMCHI gonna go down there, and it's gonna allow KIMCHI to be able to hold on just a bit longer to this, as Grimace Shakers is coming out the splash down, and it looks like zone is gonna be neutralized right before they can take the lead, and is gonna flip back over into favor of Grimace Shakers. You see that Stamper trying to zip down on that heavy splatling, but zipcast weapons don't necessarily have the best matchup against splatlings, especially Heavy, that has quite a long charge and can just shoot you down as you're moving around against them. And now KIMCHI gonna be able to take advantage of this situation, get in here, take control of this zone once again, and be able to start kind of moving in and get points off of this penalty timer. I do believe, looks like I may have said splashdown accidentally. Zipcaster is what we're talking about. Lots of things fumbling around in my mind, but Grimace Shaker is not fumbling. Grimace Shaker is getting right in here and gonna be taking control of this zone once again, just barely fending off the silly legends of Grandma's KIMCHI Rice, you know, but this is just so back and forth.
Yeah, we can see like the lead did swap towards the side of KIMCHI, but we just see Grimace Shakers trying to keep flipping the zone back and forth. As the zones keep flipping, the penalty that is on each team is just gonna keep going down.
Yeah, it is. You know, that's kind of how zones work. If you can kind of just chip away at that zone, you can eventually find a victory. It looks like that's what KIMCHI wants to do, but Grimace Shaker is threatening right now to be able to extend their lead as they're going to be breaking through. They find a nice pick onto that heavy. The Booyah Bomb coming out from KIMCHI, and actually that's going to be Grimace Shakers taking the lead now and being able to get through here now, threatening a knockout, especially as King Jaw there gets a great pick for the side of Grimace Shakers Rice. Now, if you're KIMCHI, you have to get in there and fast as this is ticking down in the single digits. We see Ryan and Roses jumping in there, trying to paint over and all that purple paint on the zone, but not gonna be enough Rice. Grimace Shakers gonna be taking this first game.
Yeah, we saw a lot of back and forth on both sides, but in the end, Grimace Shaker having that longer lockout, being able to make KIMCHI have to panic and run into the zone, gave them the chance to get that knockout in the end.
Yes, it definitely did, Rice. And now, if you are the KIMCHI, you've got to find your win here on Tower Control, Sturgeon Shipyard, if you want to stay alive here. Rice, what do you think the key is going to be here? They have that fast cooler comp, but it seems like at the moment they were really just kind of struggling to deal, I think, especially with that roller. And this is another pretty dang good roller map.
Yeah, they also need to be extremely careful. Tower Control Sturgeon Shipyard, it can go to one side in just an instant. This map steamrolls so fast, so you have to be extremely careful when you're playing on defense that you're always playing with numbers advantages or with your whole team rather than just one on each person going in and feeding.
Yeah, you definitely do, but you know, the tacticaler could help out with that. You know, if they're pushing in and all they need are those extra few points and they just come back instantly and get a super fast super jump in, you know, that's really good for keeping pushes alive. And seeing how pushes tend to snowball here on Sturgeon Shipyard, I definitely think that cooler could give them a little bit of an edge that they need. Grimace Shakers, I'm wondering if they're going to be switching that up, anticipating that kind of play from the side of KIMCHI. We're going to be loading into this match, seeing what they're bringing to the table. I'm so excited to see it, and it looks like no, they're gonna be sticking with pretty much most of the same. If it's not broke, why fix it? But we're actually gonna see double splatling on the side of KIMCHI. They're gonna be opting to bring in this Nautilus, and you know, that's gonna be putting a lot of pressure on this Zap to be creating paint for that Nautilus and machine to be able to move through and fight in.
Yeah, but we see the early advantage going on the side of KIMCHI. I think that Nautilus actually gets the double kill at the beginning there. But also the Nautilus pick might be here to try to get rid of that roller. It has the point sensors and it also has rain to try to snuff out that roller.
Yeah, it certainly does, and Grimace Shaker's still in a man disadvantage situation. That machine finally going down. The rest of their members on the respawn, so they're not going to really be here to put too much pressure to contest this first checkpoint. It looks like it's going to fall pretty much for free as Grimace Shakers was on the respawn there, but like we said, this map snowballs, so losing first checkpoint, you know, obviously not ideal a minute into the match, but not too much to sweat about if you're Grimace Shakers. You just need to focus on getting those picks, which they've got 2 down on KIMCHI, and now they really need to just work on reclaiming mid.
Yeah, but we have to remember on the side of KIMCHI, they had that cooler active when they lost that tower. So the people coming back in will have their specials ready to use, and also they're gonna be able to contest mid pretty fast.
They are, but it looks like Grimace Shakers is able to get their foothold in and start moving towards this first checkpoint. This bubble going to be staying out, protecting it as it is going to be counting down here, going to be able to break that first checkpoint of their own now. Great situation there for KIMCHI. Sorry, not Grimace Shakers, as they're able to get in, but now they have to just find those few extra points, but they're gonna be 2 down. Make that 3 down, make that the full wipe, Rice, as KIMCHI is gonna hold strong on their defense. They're gonna be taking control of mid by storm now with this tower. You see the last member jumping in there, but do they see that's probably King Jaw there on that roller, and it sure is waiting to ambush them as they come around. This is where you've got to expect those tricky little roller plays, and there he goes, trying to get in there. They're going to be working hard, looking up there on that snipe, but they go down to the heavy splatling, and now that's going to allow KIMCHI to be able to get here and continue. It looks like they're going to be able to extend their lead, making a break here at the 3rd checkpoint, trying to make sure they can break here. It'll be really good for them if they can, but it looks like they may be forced to back off here, Rice. They're going to be holding space in mid. These 2 splatlings, you don't want to run up on them because they will shoot you, and KIMCHI's just set up great here for a great defense. You saw they were able to take down that crab super fast. The Booyah Bomb comes out, but it doesn't really create space for Grimace Shakers to be able to get in yet. Right now, KIMCHI is just holding mid really well.
Yeah, KIMCHI might be thinking of playing the long game here. They know they don't have to push this as far as they need, as far to knock out, but they do start pushing it, but the Stamper actually gets that Booyah Bomb cancel.
Yes, they do, and now a 2 down on the side of KIMCHI. You're going to be moving in, but you see those quick super jumps in. You saw that cooler. We've seen this cooler plays come into play time and time again. We see that it allows KIMCHI to be super fast, super aggressive, play positions and jump-ins that they may not normally do because they have the speed to be able to back it up, Rice, but they have been forced to kind of retreat a little bit to prepare for Grimace Shakers' push. They're going to be moving forward, popping that Booyah. They've got that crab tank, but with the rain on line and all the members of KIMCHI right there, they've got to be sneaky. They do find one, but they're not going to be able to pick anybody else. KIMCHI is going to be able to let that tower control or return back to mid and gain control of mid here. As you see, they take down that roller player on Grimace Shakers. Grimace Shakers needs to be very careful about how they make their next plays. We got 40 seconds remaining, Rice. You know, you can very easily GG Booyah this if you are KIMCHI. So you've got to be able to move in carefully, find the right picks to get your push going if you're Grimace Shakers.
Definitely, and on the side of KIMCHI, they're holding mid as much as they can. They know that if they give up any more space than they already are, they're not gonna win this game towards the end, because we also have to remember tower control as the disadvantaged team. While you're pushing, you get double passive special charge, giving your opponents a lot of advantage with specials.
Yes, for sure. But right now, it looks like KIMCHI is just going to be holding strong onto that tower. Not even going to let Grimace Shakers take that one into an overtime. They're going to be tying this up 1-1, Rice, as we go into a game 3.
Yeah, and we can see the Nautilus pick coming out did really do wonders for them to help them just pick out where that roller was. I don't think they really got any double or triples, and that's pretty surprising as a surprising from a roller.
Yeah, especially from someone as talented as King Jaw. We've seen them make great plays in SOS time and time again. And you know, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't expecting to see that out of the double splatling comp. It's usually a comp that lacks a lot of paint. It's really hard to make pushes, but they handled it so well. They did exactly what they needed to, and really worked well with their teammates, coordinated well, even with the lack of paint that they had over Grimace Shakers, to be able to hold control, not, just through having superior paint, from moving together, fighting together, getting the picks that they needed. And that's something you definitely need going in on Rainmaker Scorch Gorge, because this is a map where you don't really see knockouts that often. You're going to be seeing the team that can make the best of their situation and push that Rainmaker forward as fast and hard as they can, using specials, using teammates, whatever they can to block fire for their Rainmaker player to just try to get as far up that ramp as they possibly can.
Definitely, and even before this patch where the cooler got buffed, this Rainmaker is one of the best modes for a cooler comp. So we might see on the side of KIMCHI having the advantage here by just being able to run in as fast as they can.
Yeah, definitely. Rainmaker has always been just a great mode for cooler. It allows that Rainmaker carrier to move so much faster, and we're going to see them sticking with that double Splatling comp. They said, hey, this worked last time. We finally figured out what to do, and they're going to stick to it, except for the one small change I need to point out. They switched off of Vanilla Heavy to Heavy Deco for that Kraken Rice.
Yeah, on the side of KIMCHI, they do need to be careful because that gives them only 2 lethal bombs, and one of them needs to be charged.
Yep, it sure does. And right now they're going to be taking early control of the Rainmaker, but you just see so much yellow around here. They're going to go down. That Splatana Stamper finding the pick of them right now. Grimace Shakers in a great position here. Just so much yellow down in mid. They're going to be taking control of that Rain, putting a lot of pressure out, but the Kraken is going to come and try to work towards the Rainmaker. They find the connection there. They have just everybody down except for this one Zipcaster, able to find it the full wipeout onto Grimace Shakers. Now they're coolered up to Rice. They're going to be able to swim right up here to this first checkpoint. They're going to find the breakthrough on it too. They're going to be seeing if they have enough paint to be able to pop, but it looks like they may be backing up. Going to abandon that, let Grimace Shakers get the pop. That's totally fine, especially with 3 minutes 40 seconds left in the game. They have plenty of opportunities to get back there and start a push past checkpoint.
Definitely, and they also made Grimace Shakers use that crab tank really early. The splash now has to recharge it, although it's gonna get it pretty fast. They don't have it for this defense here.
Yeah, and look here at this Nautilus, just doing a great job finding picks. They're going to be moving back around, trying to support that battle against Stan, able to take them out, but now they're the only one out. So Hog Rider going to be here in mid, just waiting for members of Grimace Shakers to come to them. As they kind of just swim around here for a moment, we see all the members of both Grimace Shakers and KIMCHI trying to find their way back out into mid again. Grimace Shakers able to take a little bit of space, but do go one down in the process, losing that splash. But King Jaw popping the bubble, finding, I believe, a double there, looking to take out Hog Rider now, but Hog Rider takes them down. That's the full wipeout onto KIMCHI. That's going to allow Grimace Shakers to move up here. They're going to be able to break this checkpoint. Look, they've got a member down in their own base. You see how far in front of the Rain these people are. They're already going to be moving there, trying to clear some space. This is the part that I'm talking about, Rice. You've got to clear the space for your Rainmaker player to move forward. You've got to throw specials, do whatever you can, body block, pull out a bubbler, and that they have a bubbler too that's going to be great for future pushes to see if they can extend that lead, because 40's good, but it's definitely not safe.
Yeah, 40 is just barely at the front of that ramp. If on the side of KIMCHI, they can bring it to around that pillow area in the ramp, I think they take the lead from there.
Absolutely, you gotta play it safe too, and there's a whole lot of time left in this match, Rice. There's plenty of time for KIMCHI to get back in here, especially, you've got to remember, they have that cooler. If they can get a, wipeout situation onto Grimace Shakers, like Grimace did onto them, it can be really dangerous. But right now, Republic gonna be holding it down against Kingjaw, finding the trade there and allowing a jump in from a fellow team member, as Grimace Shakers now just taking control of this Rainmaker again, trying to get another push in, and we see 1 down, 2 down on the side of KIMCHI. They're going to be looking to extend their lead here if they can, but they've got to get these players out in front. King Jaw there fighting a great fight, and they're able to take that lead down to 30. Definitely a better lead than they had before, but of course still, you know, it's still not at that ramp. You have to be careful, and there they go, pick it up once again, but not able to add anything to lead that time. But you know, you're burning time off the clock now. Anytime that they have to pop the Rainmaker shield again, they have to reset it, that's going to be time that they won't be able to make a push themselves. King Jaw going to be there in the bubble, not quite able to do anything with it as far as picking up the Rainmaker, but does, you know, get a kill onto one of the members of KIMCHI. And again, Rice, this is just 30 seconds left in this game. If you're Grimace Shakers, you're just looking to stall this out now at this point. Get a pick, do whatever you can to make sure that KIMCHI has to pop that Rainmaker shield again.
Definitely, and we see KIMCHI going in for this push, and they're actually using this Kraken to body block for the Rainmaker, but the Rainmaker still goes down here.
They do. Republic finds a pick even in the Booyah Bomb, and they try to pick it up again, but immediately go down, I believe, to a bomb, and that's the full wipeout on KIMCHI's Grimace Shakers. 3 seconds left in this game. We're just going to hold that Rainmaker in their base, and they're going to take this set 2-1 and advance to Grand Finals, Rice.
Yeah, we just saw Grimace Shaker in this last game. They played very patiently. They pushed in when they had advantages, and they just waited until specials were ready to keep pushing further up.
Yes, they sure did, and just great timing and plays there from Grimace Shakers. And you know, Rice, I don't even think we need to cut to a break, because it looks like our Grand Finals match is already there, already waiting for us. We see that Centopia took a 2-0 win over Assault and Pepper. So Assault and Pepper going to be facing KIMCHI in that 3rd place match. A Grand Finals going to be Centopia, who we just watched, and Grimace Shakers, who we just watched. And I think this is going to be a really fun matchup based on what we've seen so far out of these two teams. Rice, tell me what you're going to be expecting.
Definitely, and we know both of these teams are, I wouldn't say well-established teams, but they have been playing as a group for quite a bit now. So we're definitely going to see a lot of coordination between these two teams, whether that's Centopia or it's Grimace Shakers.
Absolutely, Rice. And they're going to be starting off on Clam Blitz Ink Blot Art Academy. And, you know, this here is going to be a huge one to get their momentum going. They need to get this first win under their belt. And, you know, and that, if you can get that first win, it takes so much pressure off. And this is one, though, I think you're going to have to work or look out, especially on the side of Centopia, for King Jaw. This is a great roller map. Inkblot has always been excellent for rollers, especially if they can get set up on the opponent's plat. Because if you're up there in bats and you're trying to like shoot down, the last thing you want is just a roller popping out from the ink directly under that ledge and just one-shotting you.
Definitely, rollers are extremely scary on this map, and with that big bubbler, they can just put the big bubbler under the basket, let their team use that as jump, whether they want to jump into the beacon on the roller, or just use that shield as protection while they're trying to push up.
Absolutely. You know, if it can provide a safe jump into, you know, a power clam or somebody who even just has a few clams in there and able to throw them in, you know, we've seen clam game come down to just a single clam difference before. You know, it happens time and time again, especially against teams so evenly matched. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to be bringing to the table, what they've learned from these previous sets, and how they're going to be implementing them.
Yeah, this game will definitely be very this set I think will definitely be very back and forth, and I'm hoping we can go to that full game 5.
So do I, Rice. I will say it time and time again. I'm always a sucker for game 5s. If we can see these teams go there and just have a great fight to the very end, I'm always down to see it. And you know, Rice, these teams, they've proven themselves here tonight. They've made it all the way here to Grands, and I believe their teams, like I said, we've seen for sure Grimace Shakers previously is one to buckle in my shoe, and I believe we've seen Centopia before as well, if I'm not mistaken. There is a strong Division 1 team. Both of them are formidable foes to be against, and I'm interested to see what they're going to be playing. We remember from these previous matches, right? Centopia really good at just pushing forward, playing the patient game, making sure that they push at the right times, and consistently can get in really good flanks as well. So you're going to be looking out for that if you're Grimace Shakers. And of course, Grimace Shakers just has, you know, unmatched offensive power, especially with KIMCHI there leading their front line with that roller. We've seen them get so many great doubles, triples, whatever they need to just clear the space and be able to push that objective.
Yeah, it'll definitely be really interesting to see how Centopia goes about trying to take out the roller or just trying to figure out how to just counter them, because we don't see rollers too much in this meta right now, so Centopia might have to adapt to what they're facing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I love seeing these off-meta picks. Like, I was going crazy last week, right? So we were seeing, like, pencil versus pencil. So I love to see this roller as well. KIMCHI, a returning player to Great White as always. Love to see the plays that they make, because it's crazy. Like, you know, I'm saying this as a low-level player, you know. We were both Ludi Division 8 last season, and just seeing the kind of coordination that comes out of these teams is always so impressive to me.
Yeah, especially with how the meta has changed so far in this recent patch. There has been so much variety in the meta. It's not just the traditional double crab, double machine, or like the double crab. You know, we're not seeing that anymore. Although we are seeing a lot of ballpoint, there is still a lot of variety in that as well. We like you said, we've been seeing pencils. We've been seeing chargers come back up with being able to start shutting down those cooler comps.
Yeah, and you know, you've got to figure out what you can do. And I mean, as far as cooler comps too, you say charger, you say pencil. Not that I think we're gonna see one, because we haven't seen one out of these two teams so far, but even the pencil able to use that cooler to support their teams, it's fun to see the interesting things that these teams experiment with and play around here in SOS. Because, you know, as we say, SOS is a practice tourney. It's here for these teams to kind of experiment and try out new things and get practice against teams of all different skill levels, and I think that's just one of the beauties of SOS.
Yeah, it's like, even as a player myself, when I do play SOS, I always just have a blast. Whether I am just getting steamrolled by these top level teams, or I'm in my bracket stages having close sets with teams close to my level, it's always so fun just going into it with the mindset of practicing what we have and seeing how far you can push that.
Absolutely. We love to see that. And we're going to be going into match one here now. Like we said, Ink Blot, Clam Blitz. We're going to be seeing what they bring to the table, and it looks like they're going to be pretty much running the same, mostly the standard comps that we've seen them run before. I think Kirby being on that Tri-Slosher, they were before, I believe, on V-Slosh. So that is a little bit of a change up. That's going to give them a cooler to work with as well. Going to be definitely speeding up the pace of that comp for them.
Yeah, definitely. We see the roller going down early in the game, and we see this Inkjet coming out on the side of Centopia.
Yes, they're going to be trying to find a way in, but the Inkjet actually taken out there, it looks like, by Stan on this Zipcaster, not Splashdown, moving forward into their base, and 2 down on Grimace Shaker is going to give Centopia the opportunity to move here, but they've got to find the clams. Their ballpoint has 6 there, need to find 2 more to be able to make that power. It looks like they're kind of juggling things potentially to each other here in that plat. You see those throws. Yaru there gonna be able to open up the basket, get a score going, but they don't have a whole lot of follow-up at the moment. They're able to get in 5 clams there, but nothing too huge, you know. 68, anything's better than 1 power clam, but you probably want to open with something a little bit more than that. That's definitely going to give Grimace Shaker the opportunity. If they can throw in 2 power clams, that's lead right there. But of course, to do that, they've got to get in, which they're trying to do right now. Zipcaster coming in, trying to move that ballpoint. Splatling not able to quite find anything, but this bubble is in a great position, but the power clam went down before they could throw it. Somebody picks it up and goes down again. It looks like these specials just coming out a little bit too late.
Yeah, definitely. We saw that Grimace Shakers had a great opportunity to go in for that score, and they actually still get it, but I don't think there's going to be any follow-up to this.
No, there definitely is not. I think we saw I think we saw 3 different players try to pick up that power clam and get it in before it was finally able to go in. So long fought. They're going to pick up 20 points there. Definitely, you know, it's an advancement towards their score, but they're going to want to get a little bit more of a solid hold of the enemy plat before they try to make another push. KIMCHI going to be looking to make that happen, coming in here, trying to find the break. They have the bubble open. This could be good for them, but the power clam, it looks like, did go down. They've got to find that again. They do break it open. They need just 1 more clam now to be able to take the lead. Stan in here, but Stan does actually have the clam. My bad. I did not think he had one there to be able to get it in, and is going to be able to get that lead, but it's not a solid lead. They need to be able to find more, but Stan, they did a great job there opening that up.
Yeah, definitely. This is still gonna be a very close game. I think Inkblot, Clamblitz Inkblot is one of the maps where power clam scores happen pretty often.
Yeah, it definitely can be. You know, if you just utilize your specials, it's easy to kind of push up into that area and get a push. What's hard is creating those long sustained pushes, and that's kind of what we've seen here. Is that sure the pushes, sorry, oh my gosh, have been pretty short-lived. They've been able to open it, get a few extra points, but that's kind of it right now, and they've been struggling to really create that sustained situation. But Centopia going to be hoping to do that here. They are able to get the lead. They're able to get the power jump in. That's going to be a push to 20, and this is going to be great for them now, which is 1:15 seconds left in this game. Now we're looking at Grimace Shakers to be able to make a counter push, and they've got to be able to do something bigger than that kind of one and done situation, because they're not going to have time to open basket that many times. So they've really got to clear it. KIMCHI in there attempting to pop that bubble, but goes down. The bubble is out, but their teammates are not there with the clams that they need. They're able to open the basket, but nobody is there for the follow-up. And this is what I'm mentioning, Rice. You can get that basket open, but without control of that plat, you're not going to be able to sink too many points.
Definitely. I think on the side of Grimace Shakers, they need to start pushing up together with that roller. We keep seeing this roller getting onto plat, but then the rest of their team unable to follow up with the space that they create, either with someone on Centopia flanking from behind, or just them not being ready to start pushing up.
Absolutely. Like, KIMCHI is doing a great job of making space, but it looks like it's never quite at the right time, or their team's never quite with them to capitalize on it. We are going to be going into overtime, though, here, as they're going to be trying to be able to break this basket. KIMCHI not really able to find a way quite in yet, but it looks like actually there is a power jump behind. They didn't see that coming in. The bubble's going to be popped. They have the clams to be able to take it, and that is why you have to watch all of your angles. Grimace Shakers able to get a really sneaky power jump in. Centopia really focused on that ramp. They didn't see it coming from their right-hand side.
Yeah, and Grimace Shaker coming in with that flank, and like we said, the roller with the big bubbler, they use that there to stall enough time for everyone to start throwing clams in as that basket opened.
Oh my god, I didn't even see them over there. What a sneaky play. Grimace Shakers taking that home with the absolute stealth in overtime. That's, wow, so impressive, Rice.
Yeah, that is something that you will only see on something like Inkblot Clamblitz. Inkblot Clamblitz has multiple avenues for you to try to score that power clam, And that's why this is one of the best Clan Blitz map there are.
Absolutely. But now we're going to be going into another classic, Splat Zones on Mako Mart. And tell me, what are you expecting here? Because I'm telling you, this can go two ways. Like, this is a really great roller map, but it's also a really great slosher map. I'm looking at KIMCHI, and I'm so sorry that I do not remember which player is playing the Tri-Slash on the side of Centopia, but it's an absolutely excellent pick here.
Yeah, and a lot of people like to say this is the final destination of Splatoon Splat Zones maps. And I can't disagree. There's so much back and forth. And then especially this map being so good for rollers and sloshers, they can take advantage of these ledges and the elevation that there is to try to open advantages for their team.
Absolutely, you know, and since both of these teams have really good ledge campy weapons, you're gonna have to be really careful about your approach back out into mid when you get locked out. If you get wiped or you're forced to move back up onto higher ground, you've got to be careful because there's always could be somebody sharking there just waiting for you to approach the ledge so that they can get a sneaky little splat in on you. And if that's the last thing you want is to be splatted on your way back out into mid, you don't want your team to get staggered.
Yeah, we need to, the teams when they're pushing back in need to be careful on this right side as the roller or the slosher can just camp that ledge, and if you just peek it a little bit, that's a kill for them.
It absolutely is. We're going to be loading into this game, and I'm not really expecting any changes from these comps. It seems like these teams pretty much know exactly what they want to work with. Although, actually, I believe that 96 Deco is different. Compared to, I believe, Garu was there before on the 52 Gal, so we're going to see a swap there, seeing what kind of Kraken action they can bring to the table. We've seen great use out of the 96 before, but of course it's going to go down early right now as Grimace Shakers takes control of this zone. 2 down on Centopia, and we're going to be seeing if KIMCHI can get into that good position, but it looks like they did fall before being able to quite get there, but they're in super fast as they always are, and it looks like they're somewhere there on that right side waiting for the right moment to strike. But right now Grimace Shakers just doing everything they can to hold on to the zone, but it's not going to be enough. Centopia gonna find the cap.
Definitely. And on the side of Grimace Shaker, I can't even, I don't even know why I forgot this, but the Splatana Stamper is also such a good weapon on this map, just being able to camp those ledges as well.
Absolutely. And right now, though, you've got this great situation going for Centopia. They've got complete control of that right-hand stack to try to just hold as much space and pressure as they can. They've got this cooler coming out, but they are facing a crab tank. They're breaking out their Inkjet, and you see KIMCHI moving in with that Booyah Bomb, moving in with that Zip Caster to be able to clear that stack super fast. Grimace Shakers here trying to vie for control of this zone. Right now, Centopia just holding on to it barely, but it looks like Grimace Shakers is going to be able to eventually cap, putting a stop to Centopia's push. Now they're going to be fighting it out over here. You see that trade going down, 2 down on both sides as Grimace Shakers is trying to get set up here on the right side with Stan. Under this ledge can always be really dangerous, but it looks like they are going to opt to move towards their stack as they see one over here, finding the pick on Kirby, finding a second pick. Rice, this is great for Grimace Shakers as they're going to be looking to be able to flip this lead here.
Yeah, Stan just coming in at the perfect time to assist their teammates. Anytime they started an engagement, Stan came in to finish that fight.
Yeah, and while Centopia is able to eventually flip that zone, it did not stop Grimace Shakers from being able to take that lead, albeit only by 2 points as they now set up. They got that crab, but it goes down super fast. Centopia going to be rushing up here, taking the 3 down on Grimace Shakers. The last one, though, moving here on this zone, providing some jump ins as they try to contest it. It looks like they are going to be able to force into neutral. They're going to find this Booyah Bomb here to fight with them, and it looks like this may be a zone flip for them if they can find the pick here, which they do. Just the ballpoint left up. A great break-in by Grimace Shakers.
Yeah, we saw that machine do a very good job just stalling out, not taking engagement that they don't need to have, and just waiting for their teammates to come back before they started fighting again.
Absolutely. And now they're in this great spot. They still have 2 down on Centopia, who can't really push back in quite yet until they get regrouped. King Jaw is here in their base, doing the absolute most, and Stan jumping in there, getting a trade, which, you know, it still stalls time off this zone. Yaru's going around, is going to be trying to paint the zone for Centopia, able to put it into a neutral state as they fight. Grimace Shakers now 3 down and are able to finally stop that push.
Yeah, Centopia doing a good job. Even with the numbers disadvantage, they kept cool, tried to take it slow, and came back to cap the zone.
They sure did, and now they have to fight through this penalty. Not a whole lot left on it before they're going to be able to score again, but they've got to be really careful. They find King Jaw out on the stack. The Crab Tank finds the pick, but 2 down now on Centopia. You're going to see members of Grimace Shakers moving up onto the zone as fast as they can. You've got the Zipcaster out. You've got the Booyah out. They're going to create pressure, finding the splat on that stack, but they didn't able to find the zone, and that's going to be Centopia taking the lead. And unless Grimace Shakers can get out here and or stop this zone really fast, it looks like Centopia is going to take this game, and they're going to be tying this set up 1-1.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that Grimace Shakers didn't take the zone. I actually thought they capped it, but with them not capping the zone, Centopia had no penalty on the score, and they just kept the zone for a couple more seconds and won.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. You got to be careful when you get those picks and you get flushed off stack. You really have to focus on zone. It's okay if you go past it first to find the picks safely, but you've really got to cap, because, you know, that was the game. Not getting the cap there cost Grimace Shakers that game for sure, but they're not out of this yet. Bryce, these games have been so back and forth. This definitely is one that I believe may be going to a game 5.
Yeah, this is such a close set. It's going back and forth right now. Both teams having that 1-1. While the next map that we're transitioning into is Tower Control Manta Maria. Toma, what can you tell us about this map?
Yeah, Tower Control Manta is a absolutely fun map. You've got those really fun gradings to deal with in mid and in the bases. I think it's going to be really good, especially for Centopia's ballpoint Splatling, who can really make use of that run speed to just hold down a lot of space from that high position. Really fun inkjets that you can get on this map too. Now, of course, the big thing you're going to be looking here for Street. Street is an absolute terror to get through if you're on the offensive team, because you've got high ground all around you for the defending team to be able to set up on, just, you know, slosh or shoot roller paint over and just contest the tower. You've got to be really careful as you're pushing through there, but if you can get pushed through there and you can really push up through that base, stay underneath that grading, pick people off as they come out, this does have the ability to snowball past Street.
Yeah, and we see the same comps coming out from both teams on, I believe this was the same comp from the Makomo Zones game. I think this might be the comp that we stick with for the rest of this game, rest of this set.
Absolutely, and you know, like we said, Kraken can definitely be a strong special on Tower Control. I think Tower Control and Clam Blitz really are the modes where it shines. You do see this member of Grimace Shakers being forced to back up, does get picked off by that Tri-Slosher shooting over that ledge, and again, this is again a map with a lot of ledges where these weapons that can kind of poke over them and have some AoE, like the Tri-Slosher, like the Roller, are really strong. But right now, speaking of that Roller, King Jaw gonna go down to this Crab Tank, but no one on the tower for Centopia to be able to make an attempt at that second checkpoint. You've got the Splash gonna be falling back onto it now, but you've kind of wasted a little bit of time. But, you know, right now they're still in a good situation. They've got that Inkjet, they've got the cooler online to be able to push and fight through here, but the Booyah Bomb coming out and KIMCHI just sitting there on that ledge is going to be creating a nice defensive situation for Grimace Shakers. But you just look at these members of Centopia over here on this right hand side, getting a nice pick on Michiru there as well. They're not giving up. This 96 on just an absolute menace right now, Rice.
Yeah, and we see that they have the Kraken ready. They actually pop the Kraken. They can use this to stall out the enemy team while their team is just pushing that tower.
Yeah, and you've kind of got Centopia putting a lot of pressure on all fronts, but I believe is KIMCHI there able to get a pick, able to find the full wipe on Centopia, and now this is going to be Grimace Shaker's opportunity to really break back into the mid, start putting some paint down, start building up their specials for their own push.
Definitely, and we see Grimace Shakers has the comp that paints just a little bit more. Both teams do struggle a little bit with paint, but we can see that they already took the majority of mid and the paint in mid, making that, I believe that was the splash, having to jump out.
Absolutely. They're going to break that first checkpoint pretty easily. Now they've got two members of Centopia defending here on this left-hand side. As the tower approaches checkpoint, the Booyah Bomb going to be coming out, trying to see if it can find anything over here to delay them from pressuring Tower. But between that and the Kraken, you know, Centopia is going to be facing, putting a lot of pressure on there, giving Grimace Shakers a hard time at this second checkpoint as this tower goes back to mid. Centopia going to be looking to break out here now, again finding a good pick onto KIMCHI, and this ballpoint now going to be looking to set up here in the bunker as we kind of reset back into a neutral game.
Yeah, we can see Grimace Shakers with that first push gets that first checkpoint, but unable to get the second checkpoint. And I think the second checkpoint is going to be extremely tough to get on this map.
It definitely can be. They need to be able to really push up here on this left-hand side. Somebody needs to get on the tower and jump across like KIMCHI is doing right now. That's where they need to be, but that bubble coming out just a second too late. KIMCHI gonna go down to the inkjet while that bubble is being popped. The crab tank gonna be just balling up, seeing if it can try to break that tower. 2 counts left. They aren't able to do it. To see if they can get one more person on there. KIMCHI gonna try to touch it. They're gonna be on there, and they're gonna be at checkpoint 2, but they're not gonna clear it just by 1 count short, Rice.
Yeah, we saw KIMCHI try to go onto it to get that checkpoint, but it was starting to move back. They actually lost control of it, so it started moving backwards, so unable to just sit on that tower to get that last point off the checkpoint.
Absolutely. Right now, Centopia is just doing an excellent job on these defenses, right? They've pushed to 25. They aren't feeling the need to be overly risky and make these giant pushes. They're pushing, of course, when they can, because however many counts the tower is on Grimace Shaker's side of the map, it's going to be that many more counts. They have to come back in the opposite direction. But they're knowing when they need to back up and when they can just play defense. They don't need to extend their lead. With 18 seconds left, all they really need to be able to do is stop one push from Grimace Shakers, and it looks like they're going to be backing up now exactly for that. They're going to be popping that inkjet. They've got that crab online as well to be able to try to take it out. But the inkjet actually goes down. The Booyah Bomb now coming into the street. This could be, I was about to say this could be dangerous, but then Centopia, it looks like able to just sneak in behind and get in on that tower.
Yeah, I believe there was a splash flanking from behind. I was half expecting them to use that crab tank to just try to stall out the tower for the team, but if you have the opportunity to kill the tower rider, you just go for it.
You absolutely do, and that's what we've seen time and time again is Centopia waits for the right time to send in one player to just clear out behind, to just come from behind to pick off the objective, do whatever they need to do to close off the game in overtime. We saw it on that Hagglefish TC game. We saw it again here. We saw it in Rainmaker Undertow. So this is exactly how Centopia likes to play out these games, and you've got to be really careful now if you're Grimace Shakers, because you don't want that to happen to you again, and especially on Rainmaker Humpback Pump Track. This is another map where it's easy for someone to just kind of drop down into this pit and then run behind you and shoot you in the back.
I think it's very interesting that these first 4 maps have been extremely good for tri-sloshers, or just sloshers in general, and also rollers. It's almost like these are the perfect maps for these two teams, having sloshers and rollers on both sides.
You're absolutely right. This has always been a great slosher roller map. The geometry of this map just allows you to be able to just poke up and over all these ledges and hills with those two weapons. You know, it's one of my favorites from Splatoon 2. Granted, of course, that I was a MPU Dynamo user in Splatoon 2, and since then they have completely gutted my weapon. But that is besides the point. I think this is a super fun map.
Yeah, Rainmaker on this map is also extremely dangerous. You can go from... You can either instant knockout in 30 seconds, which I actually did over this weekend against the team I played against, or this can go into this full overtime push. It really just depends on how each team opens on this map.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those maps where if a defense shows discipline, it doesn't just jump into the line of fire. It can be kind of similar to Scorch in the fact that it's going to be whoever can run it the farthest before it going down. But, you know, if a defense isn't playing so cautiously, if they are dropping, if they are getting picked, you know, then it can be one of those maps where you can just run it straight up to the pedestal. Right now, though, Grimace Shaker is going to be taking an early pop of this Rainmaker as they go out here to mid, trying to find these pigs. KIMCHI going to be doing what they can to set up in a good position. Stan, of course, as well. 3 down on the side of Centopia. The Tri-Slosher does find the pick, but it looks like it's going to be easy enough for the members of Grimace Shakers to be able to pick it up here and just pop this first checkpoint there. We see the Jelly on the bike rolling by, wishing our teams good luck, as Grimace Shakers is going to be here on this elbow, looking to maybe try to find a few more picks or some space before picking up, and that Booyah Bomb is going to provide them exactly what they need. But, you know, they're going down to the Kraken, who does not care about that Booyah Bomb.
No, not at all. And we actually do see the 96 Yaos still coming out on the side of Centopia. They probably think the Kraken will give them a bigger advantage than that Killer Whale on the 52 Gal.
Yeah, I absolutely think it will, especially for just being able to run straight at Rain and be able to take it down. Centopia, though, taking a shot here at this checkpoint, wasn't able to quite find the break on the first time, but definitely should be able to find it here. You've got a lot of their members forward. This Tri-Slosher here looks like they're going to be helping assist with that Rainmaker pop, and it actually looks like they're going to be the one to pick it up, as they're going to be able to take lead. And here we see members of Centopia dropping the Booyah Bomb coming out. Kirby just moving forward as far and fast as they can, taking this down to 13, an excellent lead for the side of Centopia.
This is almost like deja vu from the past 2 games, but we have to think Grimace Shakers has learned from the past 2 games. They are going to be a lot more cautious and patient when they try to push now.
Yeah, they definitely have to be. Kirby, though, out there on that flank, I believe, finds a 1 before going down themselves. And now this Rainmaker under assault by that Inkjet, going to be picked off by Bingo there, returning back to this nice safe space for their anchor positioning. And now you're just kind of again in a neutral game. They just are, both teams are looking to vie for control of mid. Yaru going to be moving here on this Kraken, trying to see if they can pick off Yuno, but gets picked themselves. Grimace Shakers now 3 up on against Centopia, going to be able to move here on this right hand side, but Centopia wasting no time getting back in. They're not going to be, you know, just staying down too long from those picks. You've got specials online from Grimace Shakers. You've got that crab. And now it's just this ballpoint. This is going to be an opportunity. The full wipe. This is where Grimace Shakers can take it back. They're going to be rushing it up. They're going to be able to take it all the way to the podium. And it's going to go down to 1 before they die during the podium dunk.
Yeah, Stan being a little sneaky there, actually, just standing there with the Zipcaster. I think if they didn't just stand there with the Zipcaster, they could have gotten the knockout. But besides the point, we can see that Grimace Shakers, this is the first time Grimace Shakers on the side of having the lead, we have to see how they play this advantage.
Yeah, and I was kind of wondering what that ballpoint was doing there for a second, because I'm like, why are you sticking around there so hard? And then Stan just kind of came out of nowhere and picked up that Rainmaker, and so it's actually a great thing that the ballpoint stayed there, because if they had not, I am pretty sure that would have been Stan knocking out for Grimace Shakers. But now, if you're Centopia, there's a lot of pressure on you, because the only way you win this now is by knocking out.
Yes, indeed, and I think it was really smart of the ballpoint to just stay around there. Although, like, they are wasting time, if Stan was able to just get that checkpoint, this game would be over by now.
Absolutely, you know, and there's been time after time again that where we've seen an unattended Rainmaker disaster. So Centopia didn't want to risk that, and that ended up being the right call. But now you've got KIMCHI in the base of Centopia, finally going down, but not before taking two of Centopia with them, and that's not the position you want to be in right now if you're Centopia. If KIMCHI can go in there, even if they get a trade, right? That's going to be longer before you're really up and ready in a position to be able to push again. And that's all you need to do right now if you're Grimace Shakers. Kill time off this clock, get your specials online, and get ready for overtime. Right now, they've got the Rainmaker in their possession. Going to see if they can hold on to it for the rest of this game. If they don't ever have to give it up to Centopia, then that's, you know, the game right there. They're going to be kind of holding it in this defensive position. They take out the Inkjet. That's wonderful for them. Kirby, the Tri-Slosher, the last hope of Centopia right now, going to be trying to move in, trying to find that pick, but it isn't going to be quick enough as they just kind of back away from the approaching Centopia team there. Grimace Shakers gonna take this game, and just like that, like we said earlier, Rice, we are heading to a Game 5.
I'm so excited for this Game 5. Grimace Shakers going into this 5th game with the momentum, but we have seen Centopia being able to come back from that being down 1 game and still pushing forward for the next 2 games.
Absolutely, and you know, and we have to talk about it. Barnacle and Dime Clamplets. Barnacle and Dime is such a heavy lockout map, Rice. And once again, you know what 2 weapons can do that really well, Rice?
It's gonna be that ballpoint or that roller from each side. The ballpoint with the Inkjet being able to put as much pressure as they can on, I guess if you're on the defending side, it's going to be the right side. But where that rail is, whoever gets to that rail first, I think will have the advantage.
You're absolutely right there, Rice. And, you know, this is a great thing. And if you can sit underneath that basket, if you're able to clear out that space, dunk a clam, and then just sit underneath basket as the roller or the slosher, you can do a lot of damage as the team is trying to re-enter. And of course, while you're there too, you're just a free jump right into the base, especially if you got another power clam on line 2. And you've got to watch out now if you're Centopia. Centopia held a decently strong lead on Inkblot Art Academy Clamplets. They were able to take it down, I believe, to 20 or something along those lines, where Grimace Shakers really struggled to be able to hold sustained basket breaks and get a lot of points on the board. But they got that sneaky jump in on overtime, and you really don't want that to happen again to you if you're Centopia in Game 5.
Yeah, Centopia, I'm sure they're going to do a lot more if they are in the lead in overtime to make sure that they're looking at both the left and the right, just any way that Grimace Shaker can come in to score the ball.
Absolutely. Grimace Shakers has done sneaky play after sneaky play. They use their jumps super well. But right now we're going to be getting into this match, seeing what they're bringing to the table. And worth noting now, though, the 96 change, we see Kraken jumps. Having the Kraken here compared to Inkblot may give them a nice opportunity to be able to get some good basket opens that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise. But right now they're going to be duking it out in mid. Stan is the first to fall. Going to give Centopia a little bit of an opportunity, but just like that, Kirby goes down as well and followed by Bingo. It looks like right now Grimace Shaker is going to be really taking control of mid first. The Kraken going to be chasing KIMCHI KIMCHI able to find the pick on them there, but Yaru gonna go down at the end of that Kraken, as Yuno there is gonna be just painting and picking up these clams. A lot of clams. Well, just as I say that, the other person with 7 clams goes down on the side of Grimace Shakers. So right now they're gonna have to be working on building up their clam economy once again, as you kind of trade 2 down for 2 down on each side. Neither team really able to get that definitive numbers advantage at the moment.
Yeah, it just keeps looking like they keep trading back and forth, and it's probably because they know this is such an important game. They have to play this patiently and just take numbers advantages when they have them.
They absolutely do. Right there we see Kirby and Stan, I believe, going out on a trade there, as Grimace Shakers is looking to find their footing. They do have a power clam at the ready. KIMCHI gonna be moving here, trying to see what they can do. Isn't quite able to pick Bingo there, being taken down by Kirby, who is there to defend. 2 down now on the side of Grimace Shakers. Centopia going to be looking to move up here. Kirby going to be moving. That's going to be the full wipeout. They're going to be able to break this basket open. They do have some clams for follow-up, but it looks like they're tossing basically everything they had at the moment, and now their power clam has formed. But will it get to the basket? It does. It gets to the basket. They're able to take that all the way down to 51, and it looks like Kirby maybe even able to throw in a few more, taking it down to 36, but it looks like there is probably where the push is going to end. Grimace Shakers now going to be going out into mid after stopping that, looking to create a push of their own, but they've got to get this clam economy on their side.
Yeah, definitely, and they have to be wary of this Kraken. The Kraken, once that power clam does form, the Kraken can just chase it down.
Yeah, it definitely can. And, you know, even there we see it getting pick on KIMCHI, who just kind of seems to be in the way of it. You know, if you're just charging through, it doesn't matter where you are at the roller, you're going to have to move. You might get spotted out, or if you're sharking and that Kraken just runs you over, you're going to die. And that's going to be really good for Centopia, who are just taking control, forcing the roller on the side of Grimace Shakers out of position. Right now, a little bit of a crab battle going out between these two teams in mid, and it looks like it's not really going to amount to too much, but in the crossfire, Kirby and KIMCHI go down, and now eventually the splash player to Grimace Shakers has a slight man advantage at the moment. Stan going to be zip casting in, but is taken down by Kirby, and that man advantage for Grimace Shakers quickly turns into a man advantage for Centopia. 3 down on Grimace Shakers. They're all on the respawn right now. Gonna be providing jumps in there on that stack, all kind of grouped up. Kirby takes out KIMCHI. Now Bingo and the Splash fighting out. 2 down on both sides. We've seen 2 trades go up. Grimace Shakers really needs to find the ground, and they really need to find clean picks right now. They're getting a lot of trades, but those trades aren't gaining them the space they need to make these pushes. And just as I say that, now 2 go down on Centopia. This is going to be the opportunity that they potentially need. 3 down, but they need to get underneath that basket. They need to get a ball together. But Centopia is on the respawn.
Yeah, we can see here, Grimace Shakers got that advantage. They're actually going to jump into that bubble, and they still do have this pity clam to use, but I don't know if they'll jump it in because it's just that crab tank in the front line.
It looks like they are going to be opting to jump it in, and they are able to find a pick. They're able to get to 30 down 9. They just need to find 2 more clams to be able to get the game here, but both of their members go down. They're able to get it 1 more. They just need 1 more clam. This Splash going to try to sneak in, but that is the full wipeout onto Grimace Shakers. In this Rise, I talked about it early tonight that we've seen games come down to a matter of a single clam, and that may be what's gonna happen here in Grand Finals. That break goes back up. Of course, there can be no ties in a game, so it's gonna add 1 more point to the side of Grimace Shakers. They have to find a basket open, and soon as overtime is starting to go off, Garu there gonna be applying a lot of pressure, trying to get rid of Stan. But if you're Centopia, all you have to do is defend. Just make sure you don't die here. Keep your specials on line. But it looks like through the Booyah Bomb, Stan's gonna try to make the move in, doesn't quite find it though. And as this overtime timer is ticking out, the game is gonna go to Centopia by a single clam. They are going to be your SOS champions.
Yeah, we see Grimace Grimace Shaker's having such a good push, but when the people all jumped into that splash and that roller, they had no clams. It was only the splash with clams.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and it's so back and forth. Like I said, we'd seen from these two teams, I don't think I could have asked for a more entertaining grand set than this. You got that roller, that slosher, two great weapons on great maps, you know. Basically the entire set. This set feels like it was made for these two teams.
Yeah, this set went to the full 5 games, and they all were close. There was nothing that was just a complete sweep, and that's what we love to see in grand finals.
Absolutely. But of course, congratulations to Centopia. They are going to be your SOS champions tonight. Good job, Grimace Shakers, taking home that second place. And I'm going to go take a little peek at bracket, see if we have the third place match. Yes, the third place match has concluded. That also went to a game 5. The Silly Legends of Grandma's Homemade Kimchi taking a win there 3-2 over Assault and Pepper. So thank you everybody for joining us here tonight. Before we sign off, Rice, tell me where the good people can find you.
Yeah, Toma, if people are interested, you can always find me on Twitter or Twitch at We Like Rice. It might pop up at the bottom. But how about you, Toma? Where can the people find you?
You can find me at Twitter at CrestedGautier or here on Twitch at ttoma_. And got a little birdie in chat telling me our lovely streamer Toshi can be found at Toshidaru. Thank you, Toshi, for the awesome spec camming. We love to see all the happy little jellies on these maps. And one more final shout out before we go tonight. Our own SOS staff member, Cloud. Happy birthday to you, Cloud. Much love from all of your SOS staff team and us here tonight on mic. And thank you everyone for joining us here at SOS, and we will all see you again, I believe. Is there another Wednesday? I don't know. I believe, yeah, it's the 19th. There should be one more Wednesday, so we'll see you next Wednesday.